Chapter 241. Lu Chen and Liao Jia didn't go far. The reason why they had to leave the scene was mainly because their identities were too sensitive. Even if it was self-defense, it was easy to be labeled as a drunken brawl by the unscrupulous media, which would damage their image in the eyes of the public. After Liao Jia sobered up, he took out his mobile phone and made several calls. In the end, he said to Lu Chen, "It's basically okay. Those guys are from a security company. They weren't hurt. They were all detained by the police. Shaoli is already dealing with it. If there are photos and videos on the internet, you must not admit it." Lu Chen smiled and said, "I know that. Brother Liao, don't worry." Liao Jia reached out and patted Lu Chen on the shoulder heavily and said, "You're really good at fighting." He sincerely admired Lu Chen. Liao Jia had just graduated from junior high school and came out to mix in the underworld, so he was infected with the habits of the underworld. If he hadn't met Gao Yi, his teacher, it was estimated that he would be either buried in a ditch or squatting in a prison. When he was at the bottom, Liao Jia had fought with people more than once or twice, so when someone provoked him, he was not scared out of his wits. Instead, he grabbed a bottle and fought. His previous experience allowed him to see how strong Lu Chen was. The latter almost collapsed the opponent's main combat force in the blink of an eye. Although it was a sneak attack, there was no doubt that his strength was strong. Lu Chen was tall and handsome, but Liao Jia snorted. Lu Chen was talented, so Liao Jia had to look at him in a different light, but Lu Chen's fighting ability made him really admire and be convinced. This was the result of his character and life experience. Coupled with the effect of alcohol, Liao Jia said, "Lu Chen, we will be brothers in the future. If you encounter anything in the capital that you can't solve, just come to me." He patted his chest loudly. Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He finally understood why people in the circle had such an evaluation of Liao Jia. Such a person may have a bad temper, but his heart was not bad. He was not like someone who smiled on the surface and stabbed in the back. Lu Chen said, "Brother Liao." Ding-ling-ling. Just as he opened his mouth, his phone rang. "I'll take this call first." It was actually Chen Feier who called Lu Chen. The Heavenly Queen seemed to be very angry and asked bluntly, "Is Liao Jia with you?" Lu Chen, Chen Feier said, "Give him the phone. I have something to say to him." Lu Chen had no choice but to hand the phone to Liao Jia. "Yours." Liao Jia was surprised. "Who is it? Why would anyone call Lu Chen to look for him?" He could not figure it out. Lu Chen smiled bitterly. Intuition told Lu Chen that Chen Feier must have found out about what had happened just now and was here to punish him. Wasn't this news spreading a little too fast? Liao Jia was not a fool. When he saw Lu Chen's expression, he immediately understood. Sister-in-law? Well, Chen Feier had become sister-in-law in his mouth. His expression changed. He waved his hand and said, "I won't take it. Just tell sister-in-law that I know I was wrong. I promise that such a thing will never happen again." Lu Chen was taken away by Liao Jia. If such a thing happened and it affected Lu Chen, Liao Jia would undoubtedly be the biggest responsibility. He was a veteran. Even if the fight was exposed, he did not need to care too much. Lu Chen could not. His original reputation was very good, and his career was on the rise. It was the time to accumulate popularity. Any flaw in his character could have a very bad impact. It was normal for Chen Feier to be angry. Not only did Liao Jia not pick up Chen Feier's call, but he also left. "I'm going to look for Shaoli. You can take a taxi back. I'll reimburse you after the fare. It's safe this way." Lu Chen was completely speechless. This guy was an old hooligan. In desperation, he could only say to Chen Feier, "Did you hear that? Brother Liao ran away. The monk can run away, but the temple can't run away." Chen Feier said angrily, "I will settle this debt with him. In the future, when you see him, take a detour." The Heavenly Queen nagged a lot to Lu Chen on the phone. She obviously did not like Liao Jia very much. She said that she was afraid that Lu Chen would be led astray by the latter and that he should be careful. Chen Feier even blamed Lu Chen. Why was he so impulsive? Lu Chen was speechless. In fact, Lu Chen felt that Liao Jia was not a bad person and could be friends. Of course, he would not say this to Chen Feier, who was in a rage. To be honest, this was the first time Lu Chen had seen Chen Feier so angry, even though it was over the phone. It was quite refreshing. After Chen Feier finished scolding, he probably felt that he was putting too much pressure on Lu Chen, so he asked softly, "Where are you now? Let me pick you up." Lu Chen quickly said, "There's no need to trouble yourself. I'll take a taxi home myself." Chen Feier thought for a moment and said, "Then go back and rest early. I will help you keep an eye on this matter." Lu Chen said, "Thank you." Chen Feier said softly, "You don't have to be so polite. I miss you a little." Lu Chen couldn't help but feel a warmth in his heart, and his blood suddenly surged. "Then shall I come to find you now?" If he had known, he would have asked her to pick him up just now. Chen Feier smiled and said, "Go to bed early, good girl." She kissed him on the other end of the phone. Lu Chen was speechless. After leaving Siming Street, he stopped a taxi and went back to his apartment. The conflict that happened at the entrance of Lao Zhu's Sichuan restaurant that night did not cause any ripples in or out of the circle. Some people posted photos of the scene on their blogs, mainly suspecting Liao Jia. But because there was no behind-the-scenes manipulator, coupled with Liao Jia's public relations, several blog posts disappeared silently. Top-level stars usually have a strong public relations team behind them, which has a great influence on the media. It is very easy to control such insignificant matters. For example, the account that posted the blog post was quickly blocked on the grounds that it was a stolen account and posted bad advertisements. And from beginning to end, Lu Chen's name did not appear. However, on the 5th day after returning to Beijing, on the evening of November 21st, he appeared in the banquet hall of Regent Hotel. Regent Hotel was a famous 5-star hotel in Beijing. Lu Chen has been here more than once. The last time he came to this hotel was to attend the wedding of Qin Jinhao and Sister Na. And this time, he came to participate in the MSN Platinum celebration and fan meeting of Flying Stone Records. On November 5th, the MSN Beautiful Girl group of Flying Stone Records officially released their debut album, Not Yet Lovers. The album was sold simultaneously on QQ Music website and crowdfunding website. So far, in 17 days, the total sales of Not Yet Lovers has exceeded 500,000. The number of downloads and purchases on QQ Music website was more than 350,000, and the number on crowdfunding website was more than 140,000. Such a result was simply amazing. More than a decade or two ago, it was normal for A-list or even B-list singers and stars to sell hundreds of thousands of cassettes and CDs in more than half a month as long as the publicity was in place. The total sales of an album of those real superstars were often in the millions. But now, it was no longer possible. The great development of online media and entertainment industry had led to the proliferation of piracy. Even a big shot like Chen Fei has not sold more than 1 million albums in recent years. In fact, it was not easy to get the platinum record certification. As for those 3rd and 4th tier singers, an album was at most hundreds of thousands, and they had to use other means. Tens of thousands or even thousands were normal. MSN Beautiful Girl Group was a girl group that was just launched by Flying Stone Records this year. It was a card played by this veteran record company in order to compete for the young people's market after it was transformed into an entertainment company. Because of several failures, Flying Stone Records invested a lot of resources and funds in the building of MSN. The cost of the album, Not Yet Lovers, alone was more than 10 million. This kind of spending was rare even in Beijing, where entertainment companies were as numerous as the hairs on a cow. Therefore, in the eyes of people in the industry, it was normal for Not Yet Lovers to do well, and it was abnormal for it to do poorly. However, no one expected that MSN would be so popular. Not to mention the big seller of Not Yet Lovers, just the pre-funding on the crowdfunding website, the 688 copies of the limited peripheral package with the highest price of 1,888 yuan were all sold out. With this, Flying Stone Records could earn almost $1 million. Therefore, although many people in the circle questioned the amazing sales of Not Yet Lovers, Flying Stone Records still held a platinum commemorative conference with satisfaction and invited their peers and MSN fans to congratulate them. As the creator and producer of the title song of Not Yet Lovers, Lu Chen was of course also invited. Lin Jijia personally came to Lu Chen's studio to deliver the invitation. The music director of Flying Stone Records told Lu Chen that the results of Not Yet Lovers were real. Originally, the company had prepared the money to buy the chart, but later found that it was not needed at all. The sales volume on the first day was shocking, and even the people inside the company exclaimed in disbelief. This platinum record was full of gold and could stand up to any investigation, so the celebration was completely justified. Lin Jijia also told Lu Chen that the current price of MSN's commercial performance had exceeded 300,000 yuan, and the brand endorsement fee was at least 1 million yuan. In time, it would inevitably become the pillar of Flying Stone Records. Or more accurately, it would be a money tree. Therefore, Flying Stone Records hoped to establish a deeper cooperation with Lu Chen's studio. For the next album, Lu Chen even got a share, and it was a share of the sales. He was, of course, a VIP guest at this celebration. When he arrived at the banquet hall of the Regent Hotel, it was already noisy, and dozens of tables were full of people. The big stage in front was decorated with flowers, and the big LED screen was playing the highlights of MSN's MV shooting and their life records. The senior executives of Flying Stone Records were standing on the red carpet. Everyone's face was full of warm smiles. Teacher Lu. As soon as Lu Chen came in, someone immediately greeted him. Chapter 242. At the celebration party of Flying Stone Records, there must be very few people who didn't know Lu Chen. It was normal for someone to greet him when they saw him. Now Lu Chen was also qualified to be called a teacher. He supervised MSN's debut album. That was how one's status was built up step by step. But Lu Chen didn't know the guy who greeted him at all. The other party was short and fat, with thin eyebrows, small eyes, a flat nose, and a bald head, which shone under the light of the room. He looked like a comedian who did crosstalk, but there was a big difference in his facial features. He walked quickly to Lu Chen, held out his hands, and said with a smile, "I'm so happy to see you." An authentic Beijing accent. Lu Chen shook hands with him subconsciously and said in a daze, "Hello, who are you?" The short and fat man immediately introduced himself, "I'm from Hongping Media, Old Wu." Before he could finish, he was interrupted by someone. And the one who interrupted him was none other than Lin Jijia. Behind the music director of Flying Stone Records were three beautiful girls with smiling faces, Mu Xiaochu, Su Jejia, and Ning Tian. Lu Chen's attention was immediately distracted. Lin Jijia came over and said with a smile, "Lu Chen, this is Wu Sheng, President Wu of Hongping Media." "President Wu, I have something to discuss with Lu Chen. Do you mind?" The latter two sentences were said by Lin Jijia to the short and fat man. He had a smile on his face, but there was not much smile in his eyes, and there was a bit of coldness. Strictly speaking, Lin Jijia's approach was against social etiquette. Even if there were any grudges, he shouldn't sweep the other party's face at his own celebration party. Everyone who came was a guest. But Lu Chen believed that Lin Jijia must have a reason. Without batting an eyelid, he withdrew his hand. Wu Sheng was still smiling as if he didn't care at all. He said, "Of course I don't mind. You guys talk." He turned to Lu Chen and said, "Mr. Lu, let's talk later." Lu Chen smiled and nodded. In a situation where the truth was unknown, maintaining basic courtesy was the most appropriate choice. After Wu Sheng left, Lin Jijia snorted as he watched him leave. He pulled Lu Chen to the side and reminded him, "This person is very dishonest. Very few people who work with him come out unscathed. His reputation in the industry is ruined, so it's best not to have any dealings with him." So that was how it was. Lu Chen nodded to show that he understood. He knew that Lin Jijie would not speak ill of others behind their backs. He reminded him out of kindness. However, Lu Chen was also very curious. Then why did you invite him over? Lin Jijie said helplessly, someone in our company is very familiar with him, so we gave him an invitation. The bigger the company, the more complicated the situation. The water in the entertainment industry was even more bottomless. Lu Chen smiled and said, aren't you afraid of offending him? Lin Jijie said disdainfully, why should I be afraid of him? By the way, he has a very good relationship with Jin Hongwei. Jin Hongwei? Lu Chen hadn't heard of this name for a long time, but he would never forget it. The grudge between him and Jin Hongwei was very deep. Just this point alone was enough for Lu Chen to keep a respectful distance from Wusheng. He didn't want to get involved with him. However, he had already remembered this person. Seeing that Lu Chen understood his good intentions, Lin Jijie was also happy. He waved and said, Little Mu, come here. He called the three beautiful girls over. In fact, Mu Xiaochu had been following behind. Seeing Lin Jijie's gesture, they all stepped forward and stood in front of Lu Chen. They bowed and said, thank you, Teacher Lu. They were sincerely grateful to Lu Chen. Whether it was Mu Xiaochu, Su Jiejia, or Ning Tian, they were all unknown students or newcomers a few months ago. Now, MSN has become a rapidly popular girl group. Not to mention the benefits, just walking on the street, the probability of them being recognized was 100%. Lin Jijie said that the person they needed to thank the most was Lu Chen. In the pop music industry, there has always been the saying, one song becomes famous. A classic song can make a newcomer popular. Although there is still a need for publicity and packaging, there is no hard work to rely on, and hype can only succeed for a while. There are many girl groups like MSN who take the youth idol route in China. Flying Stone Records has set up too. However, most of the girl groups are either disbanded or struggling half-dead, and there are very few who really succeed. Some of the members of these girl groups are not worse than MSN, but they did not achieve the success of MSN. The reason, in addition to resource input, luck, timing, etc., was that the most important thing was that there were no good songs that could be sung in the streets. Good songs and good singers complement each other. The reason why the album, Not Yet Lovers, was so popular was that the promotion of Flying Stone Records contributed a lot, but more importantly, Lu Chen tailored and produced 3 songs for MSN, including the title song. From the evaluation of fans and listeners, it was Not Yet Lovers, Where's Love, and He Still Doesn't Understand, that made this album have the quality and potential of platinum and won the love of countless people. In the latest issue of the original music chart, all 3 songs were ranked in the top 20. Among the other works in the same album, only one barely squeezed into the chart, and it was still at the bottom. Lu Chen's star-holding skill can be seen at a glance. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Why are you so polite? I didn't bring a red envelope." To participate in this celebration, she sent a pair of flower baskets in the name of Lu Chen's studio, which were placed at the door. He was already very familiar with the 3 beautiful girls, and their relationship was very good after cooperation. There was really no need to be so polite. Mu Xiaochu and the other 2 straightened up, looking a little bashful. They looked at each other, as if they wanted to say something but hesitated. Lu Chen was curious, "What's wrong?" Lin Jijie coughed and said, "It's like this. The children just had an idea, that is, to take advantage of this celebration to formally worship you as their teacher. What do you think?" Lu Chen was suddenly stunned. He hadn't been in the entertainment industry for a long time, but he still had a good understanding of the various rules in the circle. Whether it was in the pop music world or the entertainment industry, worshipping a teacher was a very serious matter. It was definitely not a joke. Both sides had corresponding responsibilities and obligations. If MSN worshipped Lu Chen as a teacher, then he and the 3 girls in front of him would be deeply involved. Mu Xiaochu, Su Jiejia, and Ning Tian bit their lips and looked at Lu Chen without blinking. Their eyes all showed a look of expectation, and some of their pretty faces showed a touch of shyness. To be honest, the temptation was really great. Lu Chen shook his head and said with a smile, "Brother Jijia, I regard Xiaochu and the others as my younger sisters. Let's forget about formally worshipping a teacher. He knew that the idea of worshipping a teacher was most likely Lin Jijia's idea, and it was probably a temporary idea. Otherwise, Lin Jijia would definitely have communicated with him in advance. This idea was actually very good, and it was good for both sides. With the relationship of master and apprentice, then for MSN's next album, Lu Chen had to do it even if he didn't want to, and he also had to ensure the quality and sales. Otherwise, he would lose face. On the other hand, with a disciple like MSN, Lu Chen's position in the circle would undoubtedly improve big. The more popular MSN was, the higher his position would be. For example, if others wanted to ask Lu Chen for a song, they didn't need him to open his mouth. They had to put forward a price tag first. The reference for the price tag was bound to be MSN. The most important thing was that the next time Lu Chen made an album for MSN, he would be able to ask for a share of the profits. Of course, correspondingly, Lu Chen would be more deeply tied to Flying Stone Records. And it was precisely this that made him decline Lin Jijia's proposal and not fall into the temptation of beautiful girls. From the beginning to the end, Lu Chen wanted to take the road of an independent and free big star. He didn't want to be tied down. Lu Chen's refusal was not unexpected to Lin Jijia. The music director of Flying Stone Records was more or less disappointed, because he really wanted to pull Lu Chen into his own camp. However, Lin Jijia didn't care too much. He just wanted to give it a try. It was a great thing to succeed, but he didn't need to be discouraged if he failed, and it wouldn't affect the relationship between the two sides. Lin Jijia even admired Lu Chen. A hot-blooded young man like him could actually resist MSN's plea. His will was really firm. Lin Jijia settled for the next best thing. Well, but you have to take care of a few younger sisters in the future. Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Brother Jijia, just don't try your best to cheat me. None of the veterans in the entertainment industry were simple. Lin Jijia's character was very good, but he also had his own calculations, but he would not do things at the expense of others for his own benefit. Lin Jijia smiled. What are you talking about? Fei and I are good friends. How can I cheat you? The relationship between Lu Chen and Chen Fei could be hidden from outsiders, but it was not a secret to people in the circle. Everyone just had a tacit understanding. If anyone deliberately revealed it, they would offend more people. This was one of the rules in the circle. Lin Jijia had a good relationship with Lu Chen and Chen Fei, so it was no problem to make jokes. It was just that when Mu Xiaochu listened, a trace of sadness flashed in her eyes. Lu Chen's love for her was completely the kind of brother's love for his sister, and nothing else was involved. She liked Lu Chen, but it was not that simple. Lin Jijia could see that when he asked MSN to acknowledge Lu Chen as their master, he actually wanted her to give up. This was unspeakable. Of course, the protagonist tonight was still MSN. At 7:30, the celebration party officially began. As usual, the senior representative of Flying Stone Records first came to the stage to give a speech. Fortunately, there was not much nonsense. The ceremony was quite grand and filled with a happy and festive atmosphere. The three beautiful girls of MSN appeared on the stage with warm music accompaniment and sang, "Not Yet Lovers," to the guests at the scene. Compared with their inexperience when they were just formed, their singing and dancing skills had made great progress. After the song was sung, the audience burst into thunderous applause. Chapter 243. The first girl group in the country was established in 2000. After more than 10 years of development, there were currently more than 20 girl groups active in the entertainment industry. Of course, only those with a little fame and strength were counted, and those teams formed by a few newcomers were not included. Although the domestic entertainment industry was developing rapidly and the market cake was getting bigger and bigger, the more so, the fiercer the competition, especially in the field where the market positioning was very clear. It had long become a Red Sea. A girl group had at least 3 to 5 members, and as many as dozens. For entertainment record companies, the resources and effort it took to make a girl group popular were undoubtedly far more than that of a single singer. Flying Stone Records made a heavy bet on MSN in order to bite off a big piece of cake in this market. Unlike most girl groups, especially those in Japan and South Korea, in the industry's view, the timing of Flying Stone Records' launch of MSN was not very suitable. They rushed into battle without full preparation and seemed too eager for success. Like the girl groups in South Korea, most of the members were carefully selected from the trainees of the brokerage company. They studied hard for several years and had a very solid basic skills. Even so, they may not be recognized by the market, and the elimination rate was very high. Among the members of MSN, Su Jejia was still normal. She was originally a trainee, and there was no problem with her foundation. Ning Tian graduated from the Academy of Music, but after all, what she learned was different. As for Mu Xiaochu, he was even worse. He was a student of Beijing Institute of Foreign Languages, and only gained a little fame through singing China, and the others were not worth mentioning. Such a team should have needed at least a year and a half to be qualified to appear. But Flying Stone Records violated this rule. MSN had just been established and released its debut album, and spent a lot of money to package and publicize it, and it was also a great success. Therefore, many of the peers who were invited to support them came to enjoy the performance of the three beautiful girls on the stage with a mentality of envy, jealousy, and hatred. It was undeniable that after the promotional tour all over the country some time ago, the three girls had been trained. Their accompanying dancers' singing couldn't be said to be perfect, but at least it was pleasing to the ear. The cheers of the fans sitting in the banquet hall could almost overturn the ceiling. At this platinum celebration meeting, Flying Stone Records generously invited 280 members of the mission support group, that is, real Iron Rice fans, to participate. Many members from other places even reimbursed their travel and accommodation expenses. It was worth mentioning that the other 70 participants were given to Lu Chen's fan club, Lu Jiejun. The reason was very simple. Since Lu Chen and MSN started to cooperate, Lu Jiejun had established a good relationship with the MSN support group. Lu Jiejun had long regarded Mu Xiaochu as Lu Chen's sister and affectionately called her little sister Xiaochu. With this relationship, coupled with a natural love for beautiful girls, Lu Jiejun contributed to a high proportion of MSN's album sales. If platinum record is a bright metal, then Lu Jiejun's contribution is indispensable. And for this, Flying Stone Records was not only happy to see it, but even vigorously promoted it. If it weren't for the limited reception capacity of the banquet hall of the Regent Hotel, the number of places would definitely be increased a lot. After the first song, Not Yet Lovers, was sung, Ning Tian asked with a smile, "Thank you, everyone. So which song do you want to listen to next?" In MSN, Ning Tian was the oldest. She was 20 years old and came from the Northern Conservatory of Music. She could be regarded as a real professional background. She had the best figure and was the most beautiful. She had been determined to be the captain of MSN, fans liked her eyes the most. When she smiled, it seemed to speak, which made people involuntarily attracted. As soon as Ning Tian's voice fell, a fan immediately shouted, "Love." He still doesn't understand. Apart from Not Yet Lovers, there were basically only these two songs. There were almost no people who shouted about other songs in the album. And this also reminded those colleagues present once again that all three songs were created by Lu Chen. Many people looked at Lu Chen, who was sitting at the front, at the same time. Their eyes were very complicated. Although some people attributed the explosive sales of MSN's debut album, Not Yet Lovers, to the packaging hype of Flying Stone Records at all costs, and even said that the sales results were falsified and belonged to false prosperity, which would be exposed sooner or later. But for people in the industry who really understand the industry, this kind of sour grapes mentality was not worth mentioning. Flying Stone Records had indeed invested a lot, but without the three good songs tailored for MSN by Lu Chen, it would have been impossible to have such excellent results. Lu Chen's creative talent was beyond doubt. What people wondered was how far he could go on the road of originality. After all, in the past history of pop music, there were many examples of a sudden outbreak and then a quick silence. Exhaustion of inspiration, complacency, no desire to make progress, living on past achievements, not many singers can maintain a long-term and vigorous creative state, and the same was true for professional writers. Many songwriters, after creating one or a few good songs, basically faded into the crowd. There was no more flash of inspiration, and they relied on their past reputation and basic skills to get by. Lu Chen should be different from them, but after a detailed analysis of Lu Chen's works in the past 6 months, everyone was surprised to find that his creative desire was strong and his inspiration was rich, which had reached an incredible level. It was no exaggeration to say that Lu Chen was the most outstanding singer and songwriter in the domestic pop music world in the past decade. Even if his debut time was still very short, his accumulation in the circle was not enough, and there was a big gap between him and the real big stars, but in terms of creative talent alone, there were really not many people who could compare with him. One song, In the Spring, one, You Who Sat Next to Me, and one, Not Yet Lovers, were the flags that Lu Chen had inserted in the pop music world, fluttering in the wind, making everyone look at him. And he was currently involved in the production of Chen Fei's new album, The Transformation of the Heavenly Queen. Once Chen Fei's album was successful, then Lu Chen's position in the circle would be unshakable. Everyone envied Lu Chen's talent. They were jealous of the cooperative relationship between Flying Stone Records and him. They hated why they didn't make a move earlier, otherwise, there might be a girl group similar to MSN under his banner. There were performers who came to the celebration party. It was said that the commercial performance price offered to MSN was more than $300,000. Flying Stone Records actually had no intention of agreeing, and it was estimated that the price would rise again. This sour feeling almost made people's teeth fall off from the sourness. There were also some quick-witted people who thought that they should find an opportunity to talk to Lu Chen later. Lu Chen didn't sign up with any entertainment agency. He opened his own studio. As long as he paid enough price, even if he couldn't get the same treatment as Flying Stone Records, it would be no problem to buy a good song, right? Unknowingly, Lu Chen's reputation has been built. On the stage, Ning Tian waited for the fans to finish shouting before she said with a smile, since everyone likes, Where's Love, and He Still Doesn't Understand, shall we sing both songs? This time, the fans were all satisfied, good. In fact, she didn't need to say it. These songs were also going to be sung, but Ning Tian had other ideas. Everyone knows that your favorite songs were written by Big Lu Chen, so in the following song, he will accompany us. What do you think? Good. The fans were simply boiling. They shouted Lu Chen's name, Lu Chen Big. In local dialects, Dada had different meanings such as big brother, dad, uncle, and so on. However, the popular Dada on the internet was generally used to refer to an expert, a great person, or a great person. It was used to express unparalleled respect and worship for someone. Ning Tian called Lu Chen big instead of teacher. On the one hand, it was to express this reverence and worship, on the other hand, it was to get close to the fans. The fans who came to this celebration, whether it was the MSN support group or Lu Jiajun, were basically young people. They happened to be the main force of netizens, so they felt particularly cordial when they heard this title. It was hard to refuse the so-called hospitality. Lu Chen had to stand up and wave to everyone. Ning Tian took 2 steps forward and stood on the edge of the stage. With a charming smile on her pretty face, she leaned over and reached out to Lu Chen. This was an invitation gesture. Fortunately, MSN took the route of youth and purity, not sexy and charming. Ning Tian's dress was very conservative. Otherwise, this would be a great show of spring, which would be a feast for everyone's eyes. The fans laughed, shouted, and applauded one after another. Lu Chen couldn't help laughing, and didn't refuse to hold Ning Tian's little hand. The stage of the banquet hall was not high. With his skill, he was easily pulled up by this beautiful girl. At this time, the staff pushed out the piano that had been prepared. A beautiful white grand piano. Lu Chen took the microphone and said to everyone, I'm very happy to be able to attend MSN's Platinum celebration tonight. I've met so many friends. Well, the food is also very delicious. Everyone laughed. Lu Chen continued, and what makes me happiest is that MSN has won the success they deserve, because in the process of cooperation, I saw how hard they worked and serious. I've seen Ning Tian sing until 12:00 in the evening in order to practice singing. I've seen Mu Xiaochu. Sister Xiaochu practiced dancing, and the soles of her feet were rubbed with blood blisters, but she still gritted her teeth and persisted. And Su Jiejia, the banquet hall became very quiet. Whether it was the senior management of Flying Stone Records or the invited peers, whether it was MSN support group or Lu Jiejun fans, they all listened carefully to Lu Chen tell the story he knew. Really a story. It was precisely because of the lack of foundation that in the production process of Not Yet Lovers, the three girls really put in a lot of effort. Sweating and crying were commonplace, and injuries during the practice process were common. Not only Lin Jijia, but Lu Chen was also very strict with them. But the three delicate girls all persisted and did not delay the scheduled release time of the album. When others saw the success of Not Yet Lovers, they either said that it was because of the support of Flying Stone Records, or that Lu Chen wrote a good impression for them, or that it was easy for them to attract fans because they were young and beautiful. Only no one mentioned the efforts they had made. So at this moment, what Lu Chen wanted to tell everyone was that their success was not a fluke. Chapter 244. Success comes from hard work. This was Lu Chen's praise for the three members of MSN, and it was also a spur for himself. With the memory wealth of a world, he could lie on it and eat until the end of time. He didn't need to pay much effort, and it was enough to exchange for money and honor that others couldn't earn in a lifetime. But Lu Chen's goal was never to be a moth. His efforts were no worse than anyone else's. He practiced martial arts every day, rain or shine. He tried to take time out of work to go to Jingyin to listen to lectures to recharge. In order to write the script, he often worked late into the night. What Lu Chen hoped was that if one day all the memories from the dream world suddenly disappeared, he could still rely on his own ability to make a name for himself, so that he wouldn't waste this wonderful life. And the story he told fell into the ears of different people, and naturally had different feelings. The senior management of Flying Stone Records was very happy because they got an excellent publicity material. The fans of MSN support group and Lu Jiejun were moved when they heard it. But Mu Xiaochu, Su Jiejia, and Ning Tian couldn't suppress the feelings that were touched in their hearts. Ning Tian's eyes were red. She bit her lip and stuck out her chest. There was a trace of stubbornness in her proud expression. Mu Xiaochu lowered his head and leaned gently on Su Jiejia's shoulder, sobbing. And Su Jiejia was already in tears. They were the clearest about the efforts they had made. Even if they had won, they couldn't erase those unforgettable memories. After Lu Chen finished telling the story of MSN that he knew, he looked at the three girls in tears and said apologetically, "I'm really sorry to say so many unhappy things. Next, I will play, he still doesn't understand. I invite the three beautiful and brave girls to sing for us." There was an extremely warm applause in the audience, and everyone stood up. They were all cheering for MSN. The three girls were very embarrassed to wipe away the tears on their faces and hugged each other. Lu Chen sat in front of the piano. He brewed his emotions a little, and then confidently pressed the keys. Now Lu Chen's piano level had made great progress than before, and the prelude was played smoothly. The banquet hall quieted down again. Everyone returned to their seats and listened to the young girls sing. Ning Tian was the first to speak. "Why don't you understand my love for you? I really love you." This was a cutting-edge dialogue from He Still Doesn't Understand. "What do you want to say?" The cups were already empty. Closing his eyes, he felt a heavy snowfall in his heart. The weather was cold and the ground was frozen. Have we arrived? When love pays the bill, all that was left was the loneliness of each paying the bill. Why, when I opened the door, he didn't stop me? He still did not understand. I still don't understand. He left because he wanted to be asked to stay. If I open my mouth, it's just the gentleness I want. He still did not understand. They would never understand. One hug can replace all. Love can definitely sway me. As a song sung by women, he still doesn't understand, was very different from the popular works of female groups in terms of style. There was a touch of sadness in the soothing affection, which could easily evoke the helplessness and powerlessness of love in people's hearts. Compared with the little sweetness of Not Yet Lovers, the theme of this song was more adult, but it was still liked by many fans and was considered the most durable work in this album. In the eyes of professionals, MSN sang well, but she didn't grasp the emotions and artistic conception expressed in the work very well. The reason was very simple. The lyrics of this love song mainly described the heartache of a woman who didn't know how to love a man. How could such an outstanding girl like MSN have such understanding and experience? The serious thing was that there were a lot of boys pursuing them, and the heartache was that they couldn't get what they wanted. However, among the three of them, Mu Xiaochu's emotions were more in place. If Su Jejia and Ning Tian's emotional performance score was 4 or 5 points, she had at least 7 or 8 points. The full score was 10 points. What do you want to use? Melt this silence, sigh in the cold air around, turn into smoke and float away. All the past roll into a snowball in my heart. I'm afraid that tears will flow before I speak. It's not that he doesn't give much love, it's that I don't know what I want. He still doesn't understand. To leave is to be asked to stay. If I open my mouth, it's just the gentleness I want. He still doesn't understand, will never understand. A hug can replace all, love can definitely shake me. Save me at the first moment. After singing, the three girls held hands and bowed to the guests and fans under the stage to thank them. The applause was like a tide. They turned around and saluted Lu Chen again. The three girls were very clear that their success today was inseparable from Lu Chen. They all hoped that they could maintain such a friendship with Lu Chen forever. Lu Chen got up, smiled, and applauded. The three girls looked at each other and smiled with joy. Next, they sang the third song of the night, Where's Love? It was still accompanied by Lu Chen. Although there was no gorgeous arrangement of electronic music, this cooperation made the fans feel more real. Where's Love ended, and Lu Chen was ready to leave the stage. As a result, someone shouted from the audience, let's have another duet. Many people suddenly laughed and jeered, yes, let's have a duet. Mu Xiaochu, Su Jejia, and Ning Tian looked at each other. The latter two held Mu Xiaochu on the left and right, smiled and pushed her in front of Lu Chen. Let Xiaochu and Big Lu Chen sing a duet. This was actually a program arranged for tonight, an Easter egg for the fans. The person who just shouted for a duet was, of course, a supporter of Flying Stone Records. For fans, the truth was not important. What was important was that they got a surprise and happiness. At this moment, in Whale TV, Lu Chen's live broadcast room, the number of online viewers has exceeded the 1 million mark. After re-signing with Whale TV, Lu Chen was no longer a simple online anchor, but a star spokesperson of Whale TV, and the treatment he enjoyed was vastly different from before. Like tonight's MSN Platinum Celebration Party, Flying Stone Records, Whale TV, and Lu Chen's studio had already communicated with each other, and Whale TV had obtained exclusive online live broadcast rights. Due to the continuous expansion of the online live broadcast market, entertainment agencies have long been eyeing this cake. Several websites are associated with a certain media company, focusing on cultivating their own internet celebrities, and then transitioning to the entertainment industry. In turn, some second and third-tier star artists, who originally disdained online anchors, have also become interested in online live broadcast. Individual stars have opened their own live broadcast rooms to gather popularity and fans. Lu Chen's success is an excellent example. He became famous on the online platform, completed a leap in his stardom with the help of the power of netizens, and still retains the identity of an online anchor. It is said that Flying Stone Records also intends to let MSN open a live broadcast room on Whale TV, and the two sides are in negotiations. The live broadcast in Lu Chen's live broadcast room in the evening was the beginning of the cooperation. When Mu Xiaochu was pushed out to sing a duet with Lu Chen, the barrage in the live broadcast room was instantly filled with messages. Ha ha ha, who came up with the idea of a man and a woman singing a duet? I want to give him a like. I guess it's little sister Xiaochu. Little sister Xiao Chu is mighty. Little sister Xiao Chu is the most talkative. I feel that she and Big Lu Chen are really suitable for each other. Sweat, brother and sister relationship. It's a brother and sister relationship. Why not sing a duet with MSN? Are you stupid? MSN has 3 girls. How can they sing a duet? Then why Mu Xiaochu? It's very simple. Little sister Xiaochu is Lu Chen's big sister. Su Jiejia and Ning Tian are god sisters. Sister plus 1. The friendship between Lu Chen and Mu Xiaochu was first established when they participated in Singing China. At that time, Mu Xiaochu appeared in the live broadcast and sang a song. Lu Chen's fans all like this pure and lovely girl very much. They like her shyness, like her moving voice, and affectionately call her little sister Xiaochu. In their eyes, Mu Xiaochu is Lu Chen's sister. In contrast, Su Jiejia and Ning Tian are much worse, so when everyone sees Mu Xiaochu and Lu Chen singing a duet, they all take it for granted. Otherwise, they will be dissatisfied. Although it was a pre-arranged program, Mu Xiaochu, who was pushed in front of Lu Chen, still blushed. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Then let's sing a song for everyone." Mu Xiaochu nodded vigorously, as if she was holding a little rabbit in her arms, excited. And a little uneasy. Because of this song, the two have only rehearsed it once, and she was afraid that she wouldn't sing it well. Lu Chen gave Mu Xiaochu an encouraging look and sat down in front of the piano again. This male and female duet was written at the temporary request of Flying Stone Records. Originally, Flying Stone Records wanted Lu Chen to choose someone else's song, but Lu Chen put forward a better idea. He will provide a new song for a male and female duet. Of course, Flying Stone Records was overjoyed and immediately said that they would buy the work. The big sale of Not Yet Lovers has made the veteran record company's confidence in Lu Chen reach its peak. Many of its singers have been ready to make a move and express the idea of cooperating with Lu Chen through their agents. Lu Chen has been busy with the filming of TV series recently, and it is impossible for Flying Stone Records to ask him to write many songs for himself. They are eagerly waiting for the right opportunity. Now that Lu Chen took the initiative to propose it, it was exactly what they wanted. The price was not a problem at all. And it was also an excellent gimmick to use at this celebration. Lu Chen once again played the piano, playing the prelude to his first duet work between men and women. Note, he still doesn't understand lyrics. Su Shizhen/composer, Wang Zhiping. Chapter 245. Whale TV, Lu Chen Live Broadcast Room. Since Lu Chen re-signed the endorsement contract with Whale TV, his live broadcast room has been upgraded at the same time. During the contract period, there is a Star Express on the home page, and he enjoys the best treatment on the website. MSN's Platinum Celebration was broadcast live in Lu Chen's live broadcast room, and Whale TV advertised it early. Therefore, after the live broadcast began, the number of online viewers in Lu Chen's live broadcast room quickly broke through the 1 million mark. Although the current Lu Chen is far from being comparable to the big shots in the circle, he is definitely the biggest star from Whale TV. At present, the number of fans following him has reached more than 1.5 million. With the help of this popularity, Whale TV seemed to have recovered to its original peak state. Tonight's live broadcast of the celebration was undoubtedly the best proof. Especially when Lu Chen went on stage to perform with MSN, the number of online viewers in the live broadcast room rose steadily. 1.5 million, 1.7 million, 1.9 million, 2.3 million. When Lu Chen was about to start singing with Mu Xiaochu, the number of online viewers exceeded 2.6 million. This was the highest number of online viewers in an individual live broadcast room since the opening of Whale TV, and it was also the highest record for Lu Chen. In just a few minutes, the total number of fish balls smashed exceeded 100,000. Although Lu Chen no longer relies on the live broadcast's reward share to make money, and the proportion of this part of the total income is getting smaller and smaller, he will undoubtedly share the most daily income tonight. Such a speed of making money is enough to make many third or fourth tier stars jealous. And no one will doubt that this is not the limit that Lu Chen can reach. The existence of a record is to be broken. The emotions of the fans were stirred to the peak. The barrage and fish balls were like a downpour. Of course, Lu Chen, who was at the scene, couldn't understand the excitement and noise in the live broadcast room, but the enthusiasm of the fans in the banquet hall was enough to make his mood rise, and his fingers pressing the keys were particularly powerful. He turned his head and sang with a smile to the shy Mu Xiaochu, "You are a song in my heart, a flower blooms in my heart." The name of the song was, "You Are a Song in My Heart." Mu Xiaochu gathered his courage and looked into Lu Chen's eyes. He raised the microphone and said, "You are the song of my life. My longing will converge into a river." When she sang these two lines, the girl's eyes shone with bravery and determination. She liked Lu Chen. She also knew that Lu Chen liked her, but this kind of like had nothing to do with romantic feelings. Mu Xiaochu even knew that the relationship between Lu Chen and Chen Feier was not ordinary. It was very likely that they were dating. However, Mu Xiaochu never thought of giving up. She first met Lu Chen at the backstage of Singing China competition. From the first sight, she had a good impression of him. Later, Lu Chen took care of her, which made her have feelings for him. It was just that at that time, Mu Xiaochu didn't have enough courage to take the initiative to confess, so it was wrong. But she still liked Lu Chen. So, she cherished the time she spent with Lu Chen, just like tonight's duet. What this song sang was Mu Xiaochu's inner voice. A girl's feelings were always poetry. You are a song in my heart, don't just be a passerby. Leave a song in my life, no matter what the outcome will be. I want to ask you, do you have feelings for me? Silence for too long, it will only make me make mistakes. You are a song in my heart, don't just be a passerby. Leave a song in my life, no matter what the outcome will be. This song, You Are a Song in My Heart, has a pleasant melody and is easy to remember. The lyrics are catchy and the style of the song is simple and fresh. The form of a duet between a man and a woman makes the whole song full of warm flavor, neither sad nor sad. It is very suitable for Lu Chen and Mu Xiaochu's age. Although the lyrics involve love, love songs are like this. With the relationship between the two, everyone will not have any misunderstanding, and will only feel that it is extraordinarily beautiful. In particular, the cooperation between the two is so tacit that it makes people jealous. Ning Tian and Su Jiejia were really jealous. Because they knew very well that this song was temporarily taken out by Lu Chen as a surprise for his fans at tonight's celebration, and he chose Mu Xiaochu as the female lead. Although they knew that Lu Chen and Mu Xiaochu have long had a sibling friendship, now that they saw the scene of the two singing to each other, they still felt envious from the bottom of their hearts. Why am I not the one accompanying Lu Chen? You are a song in my heart, a flower blooms in my heart. You are a song in my life, my longing converges into a river. I really want to ask you, do you have feelings for me? Silence for too long, it will only make me accidentally make mistakes. Accidentally make mistakes, you are a song in my heart. Don't just be a passerby, leave a song in my life, no matter what the ending will be. After singing the last sentence, Lu Chen raised his hands and smiled at Mu Xiaochu. At this time, silence is better than words. At this moment, the two really have a tacit understanding and completely understand each other's hearts. Mu Xiaochu likes, admires, and is sentimental to Lu Chen. Lu Chen cherishes, loves, and cares for her. Applause rang out from all directions, surrounding the two of them, lasting and enthusiastic. Lu Chen's live broadcast room completely exploded. The barrage completely blocked the window, densely stacked. What a beautiful song. It's so warm and romantic. I really hope that big Lu Chen can be with Sister Xiaochu. Sister Xiaochu is mine. No one can take her away. Ha ha ha, together, together. Can you sing it again? I still want to hear it. When are you going to release a new album or single? My player can't wait any longer. This is Lu Chen Big's first duet between a man and a woman, right? Yes, yes, yes. Lu Chen stood up and reached out to Mu Xiaochu. Mu Xiaochu was stunned at first, but she quickly understood. A faint blush appeared on her pretty face, and she quickly put her small hand into Lu Chen's big hand. Lu Chen's hand was very warm. The two of them held hands and bowed to Ready Made and the fans in the live stream to thank them. The atmosphere in the banquet instantly reached the climax of the night. After the greeting, Mu Xiaochu suddenly became bold. She turned around and opened her arms to hug Lu Chen. "Thank you, brother Lu Chen." Lu Chen was a little stunned, then he laughed involuntarily and hugged the girl. He gently patted Mu Xiaochu on the shoulder and said softly, "You sang very well." Lu Chen always knew that Mu Xiaochu had feelings for him. It would be a lie to say that he was not moved. But Lu Chen could only give her so much. And this extremely warm scene was immediately captured by the photographer at the scene. Many years later, when people recalled the story between Lu Chen and MSN, this classic photo would always appear. The two hugged for a moment, and Mu Xiaochu took the initiative to let go. "Sing one more song." There were fans shouting under the stage, and they immediately got a response from the crowd, "Sing one more song." Lu Chen smiled and waved his hand. Singing one song was enough. It was MSN's platinum celebration in the evening. He couldn't steal the show, could he? Amidst the regretful sighs of many fans, Lu Chen returned to his seat. The celebration continued. Lu Chen's buttocks had just sat down when Lin Jijia came over and asked, "Did you write this song specifically for Xiaochu? Or was it in the original reserve?" Any songwriter, even if they didn't receive a business order, would definitely create something when inspiration came. Such a work was a reserve, and it would be released at the right time. That was why Lin Jijia had such a question. The relationship was very big. If Lu Chen wrote it specifically for Mu Xiaochu, then Flying Stone Records could consider releasing a single for Mu Xiaochu and set her as the sole core of MSN. If the MSN group was disbanded in the future, Mu Xiaochu would have the foundation to fly solo. And if it was just Lu Chen's reserve work, Flying Stone Records would buy it and not give it to MSN. They had been in the limelight recently, and it was time to give the company's singers and artists a chance. A love song between a man and a woman could support two stars. Such an example was not uncommon. More than 20 years ago, there was a couple of singers who relied on a love song that everyone was familiar with to get to the present, and they could still receive commercial performances from time to time. Lu Chen understood Lin Jijia's meaning. He thought for a moment and said, "It's not specifically for Xiaochu. Since I promised to give it to your company, it's up to you to arrange it yourself." He felt that it was not appropriate for Mu Xiaochu to take on the pillar of MSN now. It was actually very reasonable for Flying Stone Records to determine Ning Tian as the captain of MSN. The two had different personalities. Lin Jijia said with a smile, "Then I know, you really treat Xiaochu." He shook his head, with a hint of banter on his face. "Aren't you afraid that Fei will be jealous?" Lin Jijia and Chen Fei were very good friends, and now he was also very good friends with Lu Chen. He knew the most about the relationship between the two. So he could tease them a little. Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Director Lin, I regard Xiaochu as my younger sister." Lin Jijia smiled and said nothing. Wasn't it a very simple thing for a sworn sister to become a love sister? Mu Xiaochu's affection for Lu Chen could be seen by anyone. Unfortunately, Lu Chen had Chen Fei. Of course, he wouldn't ask too much about the affairs between young people, but just kindly remind them. MSN was now the cash cow of Flying Stone Records. The next time was the time for the three girls to interact with their fans, as well as the live lottery and so on. The lively celebration party didn't end until 10:00 in the evening. On the third day after participating in MSN Platinum Celebration Party, Lu Chen left the capital and returned to Jinling. Because the second episode of Autumn in My Heart had been filmed, the third episode would soon be filmed. And he would officially make his debut in the second half of the third episode. Note, "You Are a Song in My Heart" lyrics, Ding Xiaowen / composer, Wang Lihong. Chapter 246. The weekend drama, Autumn in My Heart, jointly invested by Lu Chen Studio, Chen Fei, Studio, and Qianda Brothers Pictures, started shooting on November 17. Lu Chen returned to Beijing with Chen Fei, after attending the opening ceremony on the 17th. They left Beijing on the morning of the 23rd and returned to Jinling. The TV series had been shooting for 6 days, and the first 2 episodes had been shot. Relying on the modern mature film and television production system, the shooting speed of TV series was very fast, especially for weekend dramas. It was normal to shoot 2 episodes in 6 or 7 days. Many low-cost web dramas could even shoot 1 episode a day. The efficiency was simply unimaginable for previous practitioners. However, shooting 2 episodes of Autumn in My Heart in 6 days still worried Lu Chen. Could he achieve the quality he wanted in such a short period of time? The memory from the dream world made Lu Chen take the high-speed train back to Jinling with an uneasy mood. He couldn't wait to see the first version of the finished video, which was the so-called original film in the industry. Nowadays, film and television production had long abandoned film, and all used high-specification, high-quality digital cameras. The original film referred to the unedited content that was shot in the early stage of the film and television series. It did not go through post-stage dubbing, soundtrack, special effects, etc., and it was a semi-finished product. The original film completed post-processing and became a finished film before it could be released on the market. However, by watching the original film, one could basically see the quality of the film and television series, as well as the level of the director, actors, and the entire crew. Lu Chen's doubts disappeared after watching the first 2 episodes of the original film. Director Fang Hui was worthy of her reputation in the circle. The opening episode of Autumn in My Heart was very interesting. Using the ancient city of Jinling as the background, it fully showed the youth of the male and female protagonists. The director combined the feelings between non-blood siblings and the twists and turns of the story that was destined to become a tragedy, forming the basic background of the overall situation, which made people want to continue watching. In a hospital, 2 babies were born on the same day, but because of a child, Yin Juanxi, the identity nameplates of the 2 children were swapped. The 2 babies began 2 completely different lives. The baby from a rich family went to a single mother's family, while the baby from a single-parent family went to a rich and happy family and grew up happily. This was where the prologue to the story began. The 2 babies, who had been transferred, had unknowingly lived in 2 completely different families for 14 years. But because of a traffic accident, Professor Yun realized that the daughter he had raised for 14 years had a different blood type from his own. After further investigation, they found out that the hospital had made a mistake, causing the 2 babies born that day to be swapped. However, after discussing it with Mrs. Yin, they wanted to pretend that nothing had happened, but the heavens played tricks on them. Professor Yin's real daughter, Cui Xinai, had been living a very hard life in a single-parent family. When she found out that she was a rich daughter, she decided to leave her single mother, who had raised her for 14 years, and go to the rich Professor Yin's family. Cui Xinai was jealous of Yun Unhui, so she decreed that Yun Unhui would have to live the same miserable life as before. Knowing that she had to return to her biological mother, Unhui could only watch her beloved adoptive parents and brother immigrate to the United States. When Lu Chen arrived at Jinling, the filming of the 3rd episode had already begun. According to the script, he would appear at the end of this episode. After the first 2 episodes had passed the review, they would immediately enter the post-production stage. Since there weren't many special effects, the post-production process would also be very fast. When Lu Chen wrote the script for Autumn in My Heart, he didn't completely copy the memory of the dream world. He made appropriate adjustments to the plot and settings to make it more in line with the reality. In addition, he also had to write a suitable theme song for Autumn in My Heart. Therefore, Lu Chen's work would be very busy. Therefore, he simply booked a long-term business suite in a hotel near the film city until the filming of a total of 20 episodes of Autumn in My Heart was completed. According to the average shooting speed of 2 episodes a week, he would need to stay here for almost 2 months. Li Feiyu also came over, and Lu Chen rented a single room for him. The cost of renting the hotel was included in the cost, and there were specific provisions in the contract, so there was no need to save. On the afternoon of the 23rd, Chen Fei also arrived at Jinling. Compared to Lu Chen, the Queen of Music's daily schedule was basically full, but in order to film Autumn in My Heart, she pushed back a lot of originally scheduled activities and rushed over in advance. If she calculated the benefits and costs, the benefits she received from Autumn in My Heart might not be able to make up for the loss during this period of time. However, Chen Fei was very happy, because in the next 2 months, she would be with Lu Chen. She lived in the same hotel as Lu Chen, and the room was next to Lu Chen's. When she came to Jinling again, because she knew that she would be staying for a long time, Chen Fei brought a lot of bags and a lot of assistant bodyguards, and there were 3 cars. When she settled down in the hotel, it was already dark. However, she didn't rush to eat dinner, but first knocked on Lu Chen's door. As soon as Lu Chen opened the door, the beauty threw herself into his arms with a fragrant wind. He hurriedly hugged Chen Fei, and at the same time, closed the door quickly, so as not to be seen by others. Of course, ordinary people wouldn't appear here. The hotel had received countless stars, so it was very good in terms of security. Even the pervasive reporters wouldn't be able to sneak in and harass them. However, it was always right to be careful. The two were still in the stage of a secret relationship, so it couldn't be exposed for the time being. Chen Fei put her arms around Lu Chen's waist, looked up and asked with a smile, "Did you miss me these days?" As a mature woman, once she let go of her heart, she was bold and enthusiastic, like the sun at noon, emitting a light that people didn't dare to look directly at. Lu Chen felt that his heart had been melted, and he said, "Yes." He lowered his head and kissed Chen Fei's red lips. The two had already broken through this boundary. But Chen Fei giggled, turned her head and didn't let him succeed. She said angrily, "You still have the nerve to say that you miss me. May I ask who is singing a love song with another girl in public?" Lu Chen smiled bitterly. Lin Jijie was right. Chen Fei was really jealous. He explained, "I think Xiao Chu is a younger sister." "Didn't you already know that?" Chen Fei snorted and said, "You think Xiao Chu is a younger sister, but Xiao Chu doesn't think of you as a brother. Do you think I don't know?" She hummed softly, "I really want to ask you, do you have any feelings for me?" It was a section of "You Are a Song in My Heart," and the lyrics and intonation were very accurate. Chen Fei stared at him, "You wrote it, right?" At the MSN Platinum celebration party that day, she received a gracious invitation from Flying Stone Records. Chen Fei didn't go, because on the one hand, she had work arrangements, and on the other hand, her identity was not very suitable. But she saw the video of the celebration party later. She watched it on a blog. Of course, Chen Fei knew that Lu Chen and Mu Xiaochu had no ambiguous relationship, but watching the two singing affectionately on the stage and this song, she couldn't help but feel sour in her heart. She had endured it until now to vent it out. Fortunately, she didn't watch the live broadcast of Whale TV, otherwise she would have exploded directly. Fans were shouting for Lu Chen to be with Mu Xiaochu, but not many people mentioned her name. In fact, apart from the code of the Heavenly Queen, Chen Fei was not much different from an ordinary woman. If you like someone, you have to occupy him alone, and you can't allow others to share him. Lu Chen didn't explain and directly kissed her to stop her mouth. This time, he succeeded. Chen Fei was caught off guard. She resisted, but her strength was not as great as Lu Chen's. She could not resist, so she had to accept her fate. But soon, she began to cater to him with enthusiasm. After a few minutes of deep kissing, Lu Chen reluctantly let go. Chen Fei's delicate face was flushed, and her whole body was soft. Looking at Lu Chen, who was somewhat triumphant, she said angrily, "Don't think that's it. You have to write a love song for me to sing. I want to put it in the new album." Chen Fei's new album has received enough work so far. In addition to the 3 songs written by Lu Chen for her, the other 9 songs were written by famous artists, and there was no problem with their quality and style. If it weren't for the shooting of Autumn in My Heart, she could start recording this important album. At this time, if she changed to a love song sung by a man and a woman, it would undoubtedly disrupt the plan. But she didn't care. She was so capricious. Lu Chen said with a smile, "No problem. I'm thinking of writing a theme song for Autumn in My Heart." Chen Fei's eyes suddenly lit up. "That's a good idea. Do you have any inspiration?" Lu Chen said, "Yes, but first I have to discuss it with you to see if it's suitable." The theme song of a TV series was not particularly important, but a good theme song could definitely add a lot of color to the TV series, and it had an advantage in publicity. Many classic theme songs of TV series were still sung today. This idea was a temporary idea. Although it was intended to make Chen Fei happy, it was also an objective need. Most importantly, it would be an excellent publicity point. The only problem was which love song to choose, which love song would be more suitable for Autumn in My Heart. In his memory, there were many love songs sung by a man and a woman. Chen Fei was happy. She and Lu Chen starred in the TV series, and the theme song with Lu Chen would be put in the album. The relationship between the two was naturally very close. Chapter 247. Be gentle, it hurts a little, can you be a little bit heavier now? So comfortable. A strange voice rang out in the room. It was so charming and soft that it could make one's blood boil. Chen Fei was lying on a leisure soft chair, her starry eyes were half closed, her pretty face was flushed, and countless fine beads of sweat oozed out of her crystal-clear jade-like forehead, which glittered under the illumination of the indoor lights. She bit her red lips tightly, and her slender and graceful body twisted unnaturally, as if she was holding back something. Lu Chen raised his head and asked with a smile, "My kung fu is good, right?" Chen Fei opened her eyes, and there was a flash of shyness and sweetness in them. She nodded and said, "You're amazing." Her sincere praise made Lu Chen feel that his hard work was not in vain. He put down Chen Fei's little feet and said, "There is nothing wrong with your other internal organs, but your stomach is a little bad. It's best to find an old Chinese medicine practitioner to prescribe some Chinese medicine to nourish your stomach. Also, remember to eat regularly." When Chen Fei came over, she was a little tired and not very energetic. Out of pity, Lu Chen personally gave her a foot massage and found that the area corresponding to her stomach had a strong reaction. In fact, it was normal for celebrities to have a bad stomach. Although they looked glamorous on the surface, they often had to work very hard behind the scenes. If they encountered a harsh entertainment agency, they would have to risk their lives. An irregular diet was really a child's play. There were even celebrities who passed out from exhaustion from running a series of jobs. Although Chen Fei opened her own studio and worked for herself, she was in the entertainment industry. Many times, she had no choice but to work hard. It was inevitable that she would be tired. Chen Fei nodded obediently and said, "I usually do yoga. I'll go to Tongren Medicine Hall when I go back to the capital." She moved her body lazily and said, "I really want to sleep." "Then sleep here with me." Lu Chen stood up, reached out his hands and picked her up, ready to send her to his bedroom. A standard Princess carry. Chen Fei revealed an intoxicating smile and said softly, "I'd better go back." Although she said that, she shrunk herself into Lu Chen's arms, as if she was a kitten begging for love, making people reluctant to abandon her. Lu Chen couldn't help lowering his head and gently pecking her pretty face, saying, "Go to sleep, I'll tell Sister Zhang." Chen Fei closed his eyes, a smile still on his face. On the way from Jing City to Jinling, she only had a casual dinner. She was really tired now. She just wanted to lean on Lu Chen's arms and have a good sleep. She didn't have to think about anything else. He didn't even bother to take a shower. Ding ling ling. Lu Chen had just placed Chen Fei on his bed when the phone on the bedside table suddenly rang. He quickly picked it up. "Hello?" The call was from the front desk of the hotel. Lu Chen said a few words to the other side and then hung up. Chen Feier asked, "What's wrong?" She was so confused that she could hardly keep her eyes open, and she didn't hear clearly what Lu Chen was saying to others. Lu Chen smiled bitterly. "It's Sister Li. She brought Zhang Juanji here and wants to see me." This five-star hotel, which often received all kinds of stars, was very strict. The floor where he lived had comprehensive security. Visitors needed to get permission to come up to avoid being harassed by paparazzi and fans. Ah! Chen Feier suddenly woke up and her sleepiness disappeared. She sat up and said, "Sister Li is here." Sister Li was Li Jinjin, the boss of the Rainbow Agency in the capital. Zhang Juanji was her only son and the protagonist of the first 3 episodes of Autumn in My Heart, Young Yin Juanxi. Otherwise, if someone else came over, it would be okay for Lu Chen to politely refuse. He had to give face to Sister Li. Chen Feier had a very good relationship with Sister Li. Although they were not close friends, they were real friends. So when she heard Sister Li running over, she subconsciously felt guilty. In fact, how could Sister Li not know the relationship between Chen Feier and Lu Chen? She just didn't know that Chen Feier was lying on Lu Chen's bed at this moment. Otherwise, she would never run over to be a third wheel. Chen Feier said in a panic, "I'll go back first." If she was seen by Sister Li now, she would be so ashamed. Lu Chen shook his head and held Chen Feier in his arms. "Why go back? Sister Li is not an outsider. We don't need to sneak in front of her. Let's see her together." Lu Chen's thoughtfulness made Chen Feier feel touched and sweet. She said, "Okay then." She knew and fell in love with Lu Chen. In fact, there had always been a knot in her heart. That was, she was much older than Lu Chen. She was worried that if her feelings were exposed, it would cause others to criticize her. She was fine with it, but Lu Chen was under a lot of pressure. Lu Chen's words just untied the knot in her heart. Even if she didn't have the idea of announcing her relationship for the time being, at least in front of an acquaintance like Sister Li, she really didn't need to deliberately hide it. Even so, she still pushed Lu Chen out. "You take care of Sister Li first. I need to freshen up." Lu Chen couldn't help laughing. He went outside to the living room and soon heard the doorbell ring. Lu Chen opened the door and saw the 2 visitors. He greeted them warmly, "Good evening, Sister Li." "Hello, Xiaoji." Zhang Juanji was very polite. He saluted and said, "Hello, Brother Lu Chen." Sister Li said with a smile, "Lu Chen, sorry to disturb you. You didn't rest, did you?" Lu Chen said with a smile, "Not at all." "Sister Li, please come in." After entering the living room and the 3 of them sat down, Lu Chen asked curiously, "Sister Li, you didn't stay in the hotel?" Sister Li replied, "No, I stayed with Xiaoji in the crew's dormitory." She explained, "The main thing is to let him experience the group life in the crew, so that he can be independent in the future." Lu Chen nodded. What a pitiful parent. Seeing Sister Li, Lu Chen couldn't help but think of his own mother. He would find time to go back again. Sister Li took the portable thermos from her son's hand and handed it to Lu Chen. She said, "I knew you were coming today, so I cooked a pot of ginseng and wolfberry chicken soup in the dormitory in the afternoon. It was very nourishing." Lu Chen was surprised. He took it and said, "Thank you, Sister Li. You are really." A pot of ginseng chicken soup was not worth much money, but it showed her intention and sincerity. Sister Li said with a smile, "You're welcome. I'm good friends with Fei. She often drinks my soup." "Of course not." As soon as she finished speaking, a coquettish voice came from the room. "I haven't drunk Sister Li's soup for a long time." Sister Li was stunned. She turned her head and said in a tone of disbelief, "Fei, Who else could it be but Chen Fei, The heavenly queen appeared in front of the bedroom door with a smile. She had just washed her face and was full of energy. Her long hair was tied casually behind her with a rubber band. She was still very beautiful without any makeup. "Sister Li, you are so biased. You make soup for him but not for me." Sister Li was a little shocked, but when she came to her senses, her eyes showed a teasing look. She said, "You too, Chen Fei, was in Lu Chen's room like this." Was there a need to say more about their relationship? Sister Li was ready to tease them. Unfortunately, she did not come alone. Her son, Zhang Juanji, was by her side. Those inappropriate words could not be said. Zhang Juanji did not think too much. When he saw Chen Fei, he jumped up happily. "Sister Fei, Chen Fei walked over and touched his head. "Little Ji, have you been naughty recently?" Zhang Juanji said with a bitter face. "Sister Fei, good boy." Chen Fei held back her laughter and sat down next to Lu Chen. She hugged his arm naturally. Sister Li was very curious. "Are you two planning to make it official?" Chen Fei shook his head and said, "No. Sister Li, you also know that it's not suitable for us to make it public now. We'll talk about it in the future. Of course, there's no need to hide it in front of you." She looked at Lu Chen with tender and sweet eyes. "That's what Lu Chen said just now." Sister Li sighed in her heart. As someone who had been through this, she knew that Chen Fei had completely fallen in love. Although she did not know whether the relationship between the two of them could last, she also wished for it in her heart. Sister Li said to Lu Chen very seriously, "Lu Chen, Fei is a good girl. There are really not many people in the entertainment circle who can be as clean as her. You must cherish her." Lu Chen said, "I understand, Sister Li." Zhang Juanji interrupted and said, "Sister Fei, if Brother Lu Chen bullies you, I'll beat him up for you." He wasn't very young. He understood a lot of things. Treating Chen Fei, was no different from treating his own sister. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. Chen Fei, teased him. "Your brother Lu Chen is very good at fighting. You can't beat him." Zhang Juanji thought for a moment and said, "I can learn if I can't beat him. Brother Lu Chen, can you accept me as your disciple?" Chen Fei, laughed so hard that he covered his mouth with his hand. Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I'll teach you, so that you can beat me?" Sister Li said with a smile, "Don't listen to Xiaoji's nonsense, but I really hope that he can learn something from you. He also wants to sing after filming. Can you give him some advice?" Zhang Juanji said, "Brother Lu Chen, I also want to make a record." Sister Li said, "He has loved music since he was a child. He can play the guitar and the piano, and he can also play the violin. He wants to be a big star like his father, and he wants to be better than his father." Zhang Juanji was annoyed. "Mom, don't mention him." Sister Li said with a smile, "Okay, I won't mention him." "So that's how it is." Lu Chen understood a little and felt quite touched. The story of Sister Li and Zhang Juanji's father was well known in the circle. Very few people could be as open-minded as her. To put it bluntly, many men did not have the same breadth of mind and bearing as Sister Li. However, she truly loved her son dearly. If Zhang Juanji wanted to act, she would find him. If he wanted to make a record, she would come to him. She was not afraid of wronging herself. Chapter 248. "Oh, the brightest star in the night sky, please guide me to you." In the living room of the hotel's business suite, Zhang Juanji had just finished singing a song. It was Lu Chen's "The Brightest Star in the Night Sky." Chen Fei, was the first to clap his hands. He gave a thumbs up and praised, "Xiaoji, you sang really well." This handsome boy was 15 years old this year. He was just a step away from the puberty stage. His voice was not bad. This song, "The Brightest Star in the Night Sky," was obviously practiced. The pitch was very accurate, and the breath was quite on point. It was praiseworthy for a boy of his age to be able to do this. However, Zhang Juanji was far from a professional singer. If Lu Chen could hear it, so could Chen Fei, Even Sister Li herself was very clear about it. "Fei, don't spoil Xiaoji. He just wants to be fresh and fun. His talent is really not good enough." Sisterly said frankly, he just wants a chance to try and see if he can do it. If it were an ordinary person, it would be very difficult for Zhang Juanji to walk the path of a singer. His voice lacked memorable characteristics, and it was nothing in the circle of Beijing. However, he was not an ordinary person after all. His parents were upper-class people in the circle. As long as they were willing to put in the effort to support, even people who were worse than him could be supported. Lu Chen thought for a moment and asked, Xiaoji, have you really decided to develop your career in singing? Zhang Juanji nodded very seriously and said, yes, I want to be a big star in film, television, and singing. Being successful in film, television, and singing was probably the dream of countless artists. However, there were not many people who could really achieve this. Not everyone was qualified to be called a big star in all three fields. Well, your ambition is commendable, Lu Chen laughed and said, then you have to work harder than others. He did not criticize Zhang Juanji for being too ambitious. It was not a bad thing for a teenager to have lofty ideals and ambitions. Zhang Juanji also had the foundation and capital. Lu Chen pondered for a moment and said to Sisterly, if you want my opinion is not to let Zhang Juanji go solo. Sister Li's eyes lit up. You mean to form a team? Lu Chen nodded. That's right. I suggest you sign two newcomers of Xiaoji's age and appearance to form a boy band together. I think it should have market appeal. At present, there were dozens of boy and girl bands in the domestic pop music industry. The boy bands were deeply influenced by Japan and South Korea, and many of the members of the boy bands were artists from South Korea or Japan. Therefore, the market for boy groups was still very big, especially among the young people. Most importantly, the formation of a boy group could make up for Zhang Juanji's shortcomings and highlight his strengths. Chen Fei seemed to have understood something. Just like MSN. At the mention of this name, the Heavenly Queen quietly glanced at Lu Chen. Lu Chen sensed it and smiled bitterly. Yes. Sisterly had doubts. If it's a boy group, isn't Xiaoji a little too young? Most of the members of a boy group in China were trainees. After a long period of singing and dancing training, they usually debuted at the age of 18 or 19. When they were mature, they would be in their early 20s. This age group was currently the most popular. Zhang Juanji was only 15 years old, which was too immature. How could young fans like him? Lu Chen said, it's a little small, but there is a market for the post-2000 generation. Those born after 2000 were all post-2000, and the oldest was just 15 years old. This market was usually classified as children's songs. No boy group would deliberately cater to this age group of fans. Lu Chen's idea was undoubtedly quite fresh. Sisterly furrowed her brows and pondered seriously. Chen Fei smiled and said, I think it's a good idea. Songs can be specially written for this. Xiaoji, what do you think? The key was Zhang Juanji's own decision. Zhang Juanji was very happy. I like to form a team, so I have companions. Mom, what do you think we should call it? He couldn't wait to come up with a resounding name for his team. Lu Chen's suggestion was really great. Sisterly sighed and said, your mom is old. I don't understand the thoughts of you young people. Zhang Juanji could only continue to ask Lu Chen, Brother Lu Chen, can you think of a name? Lu Chen smiled and said, then let's call it the Little Tiger Group. It will have 3 members, just like MSN. Your nickname will be Little Handsome Tiger, and the other 2 will be Little Flying Tiger and Little Cute Tiger. What do you think? Little Tiger Group? Zhang Juanji seemed to be struck by lightning. He was dumbfounded. Little Handsome Tiger, me? At his age, this was what he was most fascinated by. Adults might think it was childish, but for teenagers like them, it was an irresistible temptation. Little Tiger Group? Little Handsome Tiger, Little Flying Tiger, and Little Cute Tiger? Chen Fei and Sisterly looked at each other. After all, Chen Fei was a big shot in the circle. After thinking for a while, he understood Lu Chen's whimsical idea. It sounds good. Sister Lee's reaction was a little slow. She clapped her hands and said, okay. Then let's form a boy group for Little G. Little Tiger Group. I will go back and register this brand first, and find someone to do the publicity plan. She was the CEO of a star agency. The more she thought about it, the more excited she got. The brand's logo will be 3 cartoon tigers. In the future, we can license it out. We can customize shoes and clothes, stationery, games, animations, we can do it. She couldn't help but stand up and walk back and forth twice. More and more ideas appeared in her head. In China and abroad, it was not uncommon for boy groups or girl groups to become big brands. Many star groups had launched their own clothing, cosmetics, and even food, making a lot of money. The Little Tiger Group mainly targeted the young market of 15-year-olds, and the spending power of this group was not low. Of course, Sister Lee did not forget who came up with the idea. Lu Chen, this brand was thought up by you. Sister Lee, I can't take it from you for free. I will exchange 30% of the shares with you. In the circle, Sister Lee's forthrightness and magnanimity were well known. She was not inferior to men and was very particular in doing things. Lu Chen only provided a name, and she decisively gave up 30% of the shares to Lu Chen. It was really generous. Sister Lee was not a simple-minded person. She was a little woman from the inland with no power, no background, and even no looks. She made a name for herself in Beijing. It was impossible for her not to be smart. But she still gave it to him happily. In fact, from another point of view, the existence of 30% of the shares could tie Lu Chen to the Little Tiger Group. And whether this brand could become popular or not, it was absolutely inseparable from the support of Lu Chen. Just like the currently popular MSN. If it weren't for the songs written by Lu Chen, could it have become popular so quickly? Absolutely impossible. Therefore, Sister Lee was definitely not joking, or was temporarily hot-headed. For the development of her son, she could sacrifice all her interests, let alone a mere 30% of the shares. Chen Fei said with a smile, Sister Lee, everyone who sees it has a share. What about me? Sister Lee said with a smile, if you are willing to contribute, I will also give you 20%, so that you too can take half. Chen Fei said, what couple? I'm joking, Sister Lee chuckled, I'm not joking. If Chen Fei really wanted it, she was really willing to give it. With the support of these two and herself, it would be hard for the Little Tiger Group not to become popular. For the 30% of the shares that fell into his hands, it would be a lie for Lu Chen to say that he was not tempted at all. Of course, he would not take it for free. In addition to this idea, Lu Chen could come up with more things. He got up and went to the study, and soon came back with the guitar. Because he was going to stay in Jinling for a long time, Lu Chen brought a lot of things, including this guitar. Chen Fei was shocked. You're not going to write a song for the Little Tiger Group now, are you? The so-called Little Tiger Group was just an idea, it had not even been formed yet. She knew that Lu Chen's talent in writing was unparalleled, but this was too unbelievable, right? Lu Chen smiled and said, you got it right, but there's no prize. There were not many scenes left for Zhang Juanji, and he would be going back in 2 days after filming. Sister Lee would definitely follow him back to Beijing. Since the decision was made, they would definitely start forming the Little Tiger Group. But Lu Chen's filming had just started, so he did not have time to participate in it. Therefore, he simply came up with a song first. This way, whether it was recruiting members or preparing for the album, he would have the most basic things. It sounded a bit unbelievable, but it was normal for a song to make a singer or a team famous in the pop music industry. In order to save time and improve efficiency, Lu Chen did not care about shocking the world. Anyway, there were not many people present. He held the guitar in his arms for a moment, and then plucked the strings. Sister Lee was very smart. She quickly took out her phone, turned on the recording function, and put it in front of Lu Chen. The white cloud crosses the hill, trying to find its home, the light rain awakens the sleeping lotus from its dream, and opens its smiling face. I make a kite of youth and climb to the sky. The shell climbs the beach to see how big the world is. The caterpillar looks forward to a pair of beautiful wings tomorrow. The river lies in the arms of the forest and sings a song written in spring. I slowly weave the years into a picture. Dreams are the butterfly's wings, youth is the heaven of flying. Let go of the kite's long line, paint love on the face of time. The heart is the power of growth, just like the butterfly's wings. Against the wind the sound becomes louder, the song becomes louder. In the clear and clean voice of Lu Chen, Sister Li and Chen Fei were completely stunned. They thought that what they heard would be a rough and primitive work of inspiration. Because the Little Tiger group came up with the idea on the spot, it was not strange for Lu Chen to have musical thoughts. But no one would have thought that what he played and sang was a complete piece of work. Whether it was the lyrics or the melody, it was simply tailor-made for the Little Tiger group. Chen Fei stared at Lu Chen absent-mindedly. She wanted to know how many more miracles were hidden in Lu Chen. Chapter 249. Butterflies fly, just like children running in the wind, feel the rainbow of youth, farther than the sea, higher than the sky. Butterflies fly, fly to the castle of the future, open the skylight of dreams, let it grow faster and better. Butterflies fly. Lu Chen finished playing the last note, then asked the 3 audience members in front of him, "What do you think of this song?" Sister Li, Chen Fei, and Zhang Juanji all clapped their hands. Lu Chen smiled, raised his right hand to his chest, bowed and said, "Thank you." Sister Li couldn't help but ask, "Lu Chen, what's the name of this song?" Chen Fei said, "It should be called Butterflies Fly." Lu Chen gave her a thumbs up, smart. Chen Fei rolled her eyes at him, what's smart or not, it was just a normal judgment. What surprised her was that the style of this song was very different from Lu Chen's previous works. It was not a folk song or a love song, but more like a youth nursery rhyme. There were a lot of works in this genre in the past, but they were classified in the category of theme songs. Basically, they were the products of national educational institutions. Now that it was fully marketed, there were very few new works. Chen Fei sang theme songs before, so she knew this very well. Private record companies or entertainment media companies aimed at a higher age group. Teenagers didn't even have the qualifications to buy concert tickets, so how could they attract the interest of these companies and specifically cater to their needs? And for the younger generation, a large number of domestic and foreign children's songs flooded the market, so they didn't need to create new works. Therefore, this age group market was intentionally or unintentionally ignored. In fact, in the past, several companies tried the water, but they all lost money and didn't produce any good works. Lu Chen's Butterflies Fly was undoubtedly refreshing. The song had a light melody and positive lyrics. While maintaining a popular style, it was also very suitable for teenage boys and girls. It was a perfect match for the Little Tigers, proposed by Lu Chen. At this age, they should listen to and sing this kind of song. Because of this, Butterfly Flight was unlikely to be Lu Chen's reserved work, but if he created it on the spot, how could it be so perfect? If it weren't for Sister Li and Zhang Juanji, Chen Fei really wanted to crack open Lu Chen's head and see how many wonderful ideas were in it. It was admirable and shocking. Lu Chen said to Sister Li, "I will give you the score of this song tomorrow. It will be one of the songs of the Little Tigers in the future album. What do you think, Sister Li?" Sister Li smiled and said, "I'm very satisfied. This song can totally be the title song of the album. In the future, I'll have to trouble you to write 2 more songs for them. Only then can we guarantee the sales of the album." She had brought her son here tonight with the intention of building a good relationship between Zhang Juanji and Lu Chen. She hoped that the latter could give Zhang Juanji some pointers in music so that his future would be smoother and faster. After working in the entertainment industry for so many years, Sister Li deeply understood the importance of networking. In fact, Sister Li was not very willing for Zhang Juanji to pursue an acting career, but since her son liked it, she spared no effort to create various opportunities for Zhang Juanji. For example, she previously got a role in Autumn in My Heart through Chen Fei, which was to pave the way for Zhang Juanji. Eileen Chung once said that one should become famous as early as possible. Starting at 15 years old was not very early. But what Sister Lee never expected was that what she wanted was a glass of water, but Lu Chen gave her an ocean. The idea of the little tigers was really great. If it was someone else who started a young boy group like this, there was a high chance that it would not succeed. But with Lu Chen's support, the situation was completely different. The success of MSN was the best example. And with the formation of a team, Zhang Juanji would have companions and he would not be lonely. Sister Lee's gratitude to Lu Chen was beyond words. Lu Chen nodded and said, "There's no need to worry about the album. The first thing is to form a team. Dancing, singing, and physique all need training. After I finish shooting this TV series, I'll come back and think about the album." To form a boy group or a girl group, it was not to say that you could casually find a few people to come over and immediately make a debut. It usually took a long time of training and learning, and only after reaching a certain level could they officially appear. A girl group like MSN was very rare. It was also because of their good foundation and hard work, coupled with the large investment and resources of Flying Stone Records, that they could stand out in a short time. Such an example was difficult to replicate. Zhang Juanji had just turned 15 years old, so there was no need to work so hard. He also had to take care of his daily studies. Sister Lee understood the reason. "Well, then we will wait for you and Fei to come back in Beijing." She reached out and patted her son. "Hurry up and thank you, Brother Lu Chen." Zhang Juanji said with a smile, "Thank you, Brother Lu Chen. I will rely on you and Sister Fei in the future." Lu Chen couldn't help laughing. Sister Lee glared at her son, glib tongue. She stood up and said, "Then I won't disturb you too. I'll go back with Xiaoji first." A touch of shyness suddenly appeared on Chen Fei's pretty face. She quickly got up and said, "I have to go, too. Sister Lee, let me send you down. Let's talk." Sister Lee laughed, "That's so embarrassing. It's all my fault. I didn't choose a good time to come over." Her smile was very ambiguous. If it weren't for her son's presence, she would have teased the two of them. Lu Chen was a little depressed. He sent Sister Lee, Chen Fei, and Zhang Juanji out of the room. Tonight's opportunity was actually very rare. It was not easy to break through the boundary. Just as he was thinking of spending a warm and romantic night with Chen Fei, it was ruined by Sister Lee, who didn't know what was going on. Although Chen Fei was a mature woman, she was still very conservative and reserved in this aspect. She wouldn't let Lu Chen cross the boundary easily. After this incident, she definitely wouldn't return to Lu Chen's room. The long night passed quietly. The next day, Lu Chen got up early and called Li Feiyu to go for a morning jog. Peter Pan was a typical otaku. Other than his daily work, he wouldn't stand if he could sit, and he wouldn't sit if he could lie down. He spent all his spare time in front of the computer, so his physical fitness wasn't very good. However, if he wanted to be a qualified assistant, he couldn't do it without a good body. After working as an assistant for a period of time, he understood this principle, so he took the initiative to exercise with Lu Chen. As a result, after only running a kilometer, this guy was panting like a cow, and it was difficult to walk with his tongue out. Lu Chen laughed and said, "Your body is too weak. No wonder you haven't been able to chase Sister Xiaomei until now. You really have to practice hard." The story of Li Feiyu chasing Xiaomei could be written into a TV series. Although Xiaomei had long been a receptionist in Lu Chen's studio, Li Feiyu hadn't really gotten the moon yet. According to him, he was currently in the observation period, and there was still a long way to go before he could get on base. Li Feiyu said with a bitter face, take it slow, take it slow." Lu Chen shook his head and said, "Then you run slowly. I'll go first." He sped up and ran along the riverbank. Soon, he left Li Feiyu behind. Jinling was very beautiful in autumn. This 1,000-year-old ancient capital had a different charm from the capital. It had the same rich history, but the difference was the style of the people. Running on the long road, through the barrier of mist, Lu Chen could better feel the beauty of the city. After 2 hours of morning exercise, Lu Chen, who had breakfast, returned to the hotel. He and Chen Fei took the latter's car and rushed to the set of the film and television city to meet up with the crew again. The first 2 episodes of Autumn in My Heart had been shot, and the third episode was currently being shot in an orderly manner. If everything went well, the 2 real protagonists, Lu Chen and Chen Fei, would appear the day after tomorrow. Today, in addition to checking the progress of the shooting, the other 2 people had to take makeup photos. The so-called makeup photos, also known as styling photos, were photos taken after the actors were dressed for a certain role. According to the description of the character image in the script and the director's intention, the photographer, together with the art, makeup, costume, and lighting departments, explored and studied the character's style. The makeup photos might be completed in one shot, or they might be repeated many times. The final photos were also the basis and reference for the makeup crew to make up for the actors during the shooting period. As the male and female protagonists of this TV series, their makeup photos were naturally very important. In addition to the shooting, they would also be used for the upcoming promotion of the TV series. Under normal circumstances, the TV series could start broadcasting after shooting 6 to 8 episodes on the weekend. Although the premiere unit of Autumn in My Heart hadn't been finalized, the promotion and hype couldn't be delayed, because it was related to the most important ratings. Ratings were always the most important standard to measure the success of a TV series. Several costume and makeup artists surrounded Lu Chen and Chen Fei for an hour before they finished the required styling for the show. Lu Chen's outfit was relatively simple. He was handsome and had a good foundation, so the makeup on his face was more to decorate than to cover up. It was enough to fully highlight the contours of his face. He was wearing a custom-made black and blue suit, paired with a white shirt and well-ironed trousers. It was a perfect match with his well-trained body, and he had the temperament of an idol. Chen Fei, who had light makeup on, was wearing a cheap plain white dress. Her long hair fell to her shoulders, bringing an indescribable charm. There was a hint of purity in her beauty, making it impossible for people to feel that she was nearly 30 years old. When the 2 of them stood side by side and smiled at each other, the cameraman, makeup artists, and other crew members were all amazed. They were really a perfect match. Whether it was height, appearance, temperament, or the tacit understanding between the 2 of them, it was really difficult to find a more compatible couple in the entertainment industry. Note: Butterfly Fly, lyricist/composer, Li Ziheng. Chapter 250. Someone once said that taking a promotional photo was like taking a wedding photo. It looked beautiful, but it was actually a very painful thing. Lu Chen and Chen Fei's promotional photos took 2 full days to finish. But neither of them felt any pain, and Chen Fei even enjoyed it. In the end, he picked out a batch of original photos that had not been edited, saying that he wanted to promote them on his blog. After taking the promotional photos, Lu Chen and Chen Fei officially appeared in the 3rd episode of Autumn in My Heart. What greeted the 2 of them was a 2-month shooting period. What Lu Chen did not expect was that his sister, Lu Shi, came to Jinling that afternoon. Zhang De, the general manager of Qianda Brothers Pictures, and the program director of Hygiene Satellite TV were also with her. That night, Lu Chen and Chen Fei hosted a banquet in the hotel where they stayed. In fact, strictly speaking, the real guests were only the representatives of Hygiene Satellite TV. Because Autumn in My Heart was jointly invested by Qianda Brothers Pictures, Chen Fei Studio, and Lu Chen Studio. The purpose of Hygiene Satellite TV's representatives to negotiate was for the premiere rights of this TV series. In this regard, both Qianda Brothers Pictures and Lu Chen Studio attached great importance to it. 2 general managers accompanied them to Jinling to meet with Lu Chen and Chen Fei. Zhang De, the general manager of Qianda Brothers Pictures, was in his 40s. He was short and stocky, with a square face and thin eyebrows. His face was full of shrewdness. He spoke more or less like a gangster, but whether it was to Chen Fei or Lu Chen, he was very polite. When they met, Zhang De and Chen Fei just shook hands gently, and then withdrew their hands. But he shook hands with Lu Chen very firmly. He smiled heartily and said, "I have long heard of Mr. Lu Chen's name. Today is the first time we meet, and you really live up to your reputation. Thank you very much for giving our Chinda brothers a chance to cooperate." Lu Chen smiled and said, "Director Zhang, you're too polite." Zhang De said, "It's only right to be polite. The Golden Phoenix is here. Let me introduce her to you." He was introducing Zhong Yu, the program director of Hygiene Satellite TV. Zhong Yu was in his 30s, he had a burly figure like a northerner, a square face, thick eyebrows, and big eyes. If he were to appear in a TV drama, he would definitely be the main character. To be able to sit in this position at the age of 30, Zhong Yu was undoubtedly not an ordinary person. He was also very polite to Lu Chen and praised him a few times. While Lu Chen was exchanging pleasantries with the two of them, Chen Fei was chatting with Lu Shi. Chen Fei had been to Lu Chen's studio before. Of course, she knew Lu Shi. Although they were not sisters, they had common topics to talk about when they met. It was just at this time, when she met Lu Shi again, Chen Fei, who had always been graceful, was a little nervous. A faint blush appeared on her pretty face, and she spoke more carefully. After the introductions, they sat down together and inevitably talked about business. There were 3,000 or 4,000 TV stations in China, but there were only more than 40 satellite TV stations. Hygiene Satellite TV was one of them, and its scale and strength were definitely not bad. However, among the more than 40 satellite TV stations, Hygiene Satellite TV's presence was very low. In other words, the average ratings were not high. Not to mention that compared with the popular fried chicken like Xiangnan Satellite TV, even with many satellite TV stations in the southwest and northwest inland provinces, there is not much advantage. There has never been any trump card program that can be taken out. As one of the 4 major satellite TV stations in China, Hygiene Satellite TV was really a little embarrassed. Some people once analyzed that the reason for this situation, in addition to the problems of Hygiene Satellite TV itself, the main reason was that it was too close to Beijing. With the 2 big signboards of CCTV and Beijing TV, it was easy for excellent talents to be lost. Whether this statement was correct or not, Hygiene Satellite TV's weakness was obvious. Without a fist variety show with high ratings, it was not their turn to premiere a popular TV series, and they could only eat leftovers. Of course, Hygiene Satellite TV would not be willing to fall. Last year, they launched a talent show with great momentum. As a result, the ratings were low, and it ended hastily. The advertising income was not enough to cover the costs. Now the director of the program department of Hygiene Satellite TV came to discuss in person for a TV series. It was unexpected, but not something incredible. At present, there were big stations such as Beijing TV Station and Zhejiang TV Station who were interested in the premiere rights of Autumn in My Heart, but the conditions offered by the two were not very high, at least not meeting the expectations of the 3 investors. This was normal. If it weren't for the golden signboard of Chen Fei, as a gimmick, even if Lu Chen and Xinda Pictures took the initiative to come to the door, the 2 TV stations might not pay attention, and they would only be willing to talk about a very harsh contract. The number of dramas shot in China every year was very considerable. Most of them could only be broadcast on small TV stations in 3rd and 4th tier cities. The fierce competition was not what ordinary people could imagine. The big TV stations with high-quality resources naturally had to carefully select and wait for the best price. Unless it was a popular work by a big star, a big director, or a big IP, they would rarely take the initiative to put down their pride and chase after it. Autumn in My Heart was currently a hot topic on Waves's blog. In addition to Lu Chen sparing no effort to promote it, the most important thing was that it was the first TV series in which Chen Fei played the leading female role. Now that the large-scale publicity had not yet begun, Hygiene Satellite TV came to the door with the idea of picking up the leftovers. The ordered wine and dishes were quickly served. Everyone ate and chatted, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. The Chinese people's habit was to talk about business at the wine table. After 3 glasses of wine, the original strangers also became friends. Many things that were not easy to say could be talked about openly with the help of alcohol, which was a unique business culture. While toasting, Lu Chen learned about the initial offer made by Hygiene Satellite TV. Zhong Yu, representing Hygiene Satellite TV, proposed a buyout price of 300,000 yuan per episode for the exclusive premiere rights of Autumn in My Heart. The total price for all 20 episodes was 6 million. As an exclusive buyout, this price was undoubtedly not high, and even a little low. Because if nothing else, Chen Fei's salary alone was millions, plus Lu Chen and other actors, 6 million was barely enough to cover the actors' salary costs. Of course, this exclusive premiere rights were limited to TV stations, and the exclusive network broadcast rights could be sold again. In addition, if the premiere was successful, then the rebroadcast rights could be sold at a better price. Many TV series relied on the sale of rebroadcast rights to achieve profits. It was just that such an offer had no advantage compared to Beijing TV station and Zhejiang TV station. But since Zhong Yu came in person, he must have come with sincerity. In addition to the buyout price of 300,000 yuan per episode, Hygiene Satellite TV also gave a condition that neither Beijing TV station nor Zhejiang TV station could come up with. That was the VAM agreement to raise the price according to the ratings. Based on the national average ratings of 0.25% for every 0.10% increase, the buyout price for one episode would increase by 100,000 yuan. That is, if Autumn in My Heart premiered on Hygiene Satellite TV, if the national average ratings of 20 episodes were below 0.25%, then the buyout price paid by Hygiene Satellite TV would be 300,000 yuan per episode. But if it reached 0.35%, it would be 400,000 yuan per episode, with no upper limit. In addition, regardless of the ratings, Hygiene Satellite TV gave a minimum purchase price of 6 million yuan. It was precisely because Hygiene Satellite TV made such a sincere offer that Zhang De, the general manager of Chinda Brothers Pictures, and Lu Shi, accompanied Zhong Yu to Jinling. Because neither Beijing TV station nor Zhejiang TV station would give this kind of price increase agreement. Perhaps it was a little difficult for outsiders to understand. Such a VAM agreement was clearly a win-win agreement. The higher the ratings, the more the advertising would be sold. Why would Beijing TV station and Zhejiang TV station not agree? The reason was very simple. Whether it was Chinda Pictures, Lu Chen, or even Chen Fei, they were not qualified to make such a condition. The rules could not be broken. And how to put it, Hygiene Satellite TV's position in the circle was not high enough, so they were naturally willing to put down their pride. The minimum purchase price of 6 million yuan was already full of sincerity, and the VAM price increase was to take a gamble. For a weekend show, it was really not easy to reach the national average ratings of 0.25%. An increase of 0.1% was considered a great improvement, and the promotion of advertising was very obvious. After understanding the initial price offered by Hygiene Satellite TV, Lu Chen and Chen Fei looked at each other. Chen Fei told Lu Chen with his eyes that the price was completely negotiable. Lu Chen thought the same, but even though he was very satisfied in his heart, he still remained calm on the surface. He raised his glass to Zhong Yu and said, "Director Zhong, would like to toast you. Thank you for your love for our TV series. It's just that I'm still very young, and I don't know much about these things. Why don't we talk about it after watching the sample tomorrow?" Business negotiations were not what Lu Chen was good at. Professional matters should be handled by professionals. If he was exposed, it would bring trouble to the subsequent negotiations and put his own side in a disadvantageous position. Whether it was the minimum price or the VAM agreement, they could still be discussed. That was Zhang De and Lu Shi's business. Zhong Yu's eyes flashed, and he raised his glass and clinked it with Lu Chen. He smiled and said, "Mr. Lu is too polite." Of course, that's no problem. He did not have the slightest displeasure, and he even sighed in his heart. Not only Zhong Yu, but even Zhang De had a whole new level of respect for Lu Qin. He was worried that Lu Qin was young and impulsive, and that he would be blinded by the other party's offer and agree on the spot. Now it seemed that Lu Qin was much more experienced than he thought. Lu Qin smiled and said, "Besides, Sister Fei and I will be recording the theme song tomorrow. Director Zhong is also welcome to give us your guidance and valuable advice." Zhong Yu was moved. "Then I must listen to it. It's such a rare opportunity." Apart from coming to Jinling to negotiate, he also had to understand the filming situation. Everyone laughed, and the atmosphere of the banquet became warmer and more harmonious. Chapter 251. The banquet didn't end until 9 o'clock in the evening. Director Zhong Yu's alcohol tolerance was very high. He and his assistant worked together to resist the attacks of Zhang De, Lu Qin, and the others. They drank 4 to 5 bottles of red wine, and in the end, they were only 70 to 80% drunk. Qian De had already booked a room in this hotel. Lu Shi followed Lu Qin to his business suite, together with Qin Fei. The two sisters drank a lot, their faces were red, sitting on the sofa with blurred eyes, whispering to each other. Although Lu Qin also drank a lot, his alcohol tolerance was trained, so he was very sober. He boiled some water for them to sober up. While he was busy, Lu Shi suddenly said, "Lu Qin, sit down first, I have something to ask you." Her expression was very serious. Lu Qin was surprised, but he still sat down. "What's wrong, sister?" "What's wrong?" A cold smile appeared on Lu Shi's face. She looked at the drunk Qin Fei and asked, "Tell me the truth, are you in a relationship with Sister Fei?" Ah. Qin Fei was not so drunk that he couldn't hear clearly. His face was so red that it was about to drip blood. Although there were a few friends who knew the real relationship between the two, but Lu Shi was Lu Chen's sister, the closest person. This was completely different. Lu Chen was silent for a moment. Suddenly he held Qin Fei's hand and answered seriously, "Yes." "So it's like this." Lu Shi suddenly felt discouraged. She had long suspected the relationship between the two, and now she finally got a confirmation. It felt a little weird. In Lu Shi's heart, Lu Chen was always a troublemaker who liked to follow her, and he needed the care of his family. This was the most important reason why she came all the way to the capital to help Lu Chen. But now, she suddenly found that her brother had really grown up. Not only did he have his own business, but he also found his life partner. Why did it have to be Qin Fei? Lu Shi felt very unreal. She was going to have a sister-in-law who was the heavenly queen. To be honest, she was Qin Fei's fan. Lu Shi was proud of Lu Chen because her brother was outstanding enough, but she also felt a little disappointed and sad. When Lu Chen held Qin Fei's hand and admitted their relationship to Lu Shi, the sweetness in Qin Fei's heart almost exploded, and her eyes were full of unspeakable tenderness and love. As the heavenly queen of pop music, she had never felt inferior, but after establishing a relationship with Lu Chen, she inevitably had some thoughts of gain and loss, for fear that there would be emotional twists and turns. Now, those unreliable thoughts were completely gone. Lu Chen felt Qin Fei's feelings at this moment and couldn't help holding her little hand tightly. Lu Shi saw it and said, "Sister Fei, you should pay more attention to Lu Chen in the future. He is very good at provoking girls." When we were in college, Lu Chen's throat was itchy. "Sister." Qin Fei covered her mouth and smiled, "Sister Lu Shi, I will." She glanced at Lu Chen proudly, as if saying, "Now I have something on you." Qin Fei was a few years older than Lu Shi, but because of her relationship with Lu Chen, in order to reflect closeness, she also followed Lu Chen and called her big sister, and didn't need to care about identity. She broke free from Lu Chen's hand, hugged Lu Shi's arm and said, "Sister Lu Shi, sleep with me tonight, and tell me about him, okay?" Lu Shi finally smiled, "Okay." Then, the two got up and left, leaving Lu Chen alone, who didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The next morning, they gathered in the hotel again and took the car provided by Qian De to the film city. Accompanied by many people, Zhongyu first visited the crew of Autumn in My Heart, and then carefully watched the first 3 episodes that had been filmed. Although the original videos provided by the crew had not been edited and dubbed, Zhongyu, as the director of the program department of Hygiene Satellite TV, had already reviewed countless episodes of the TV series and had long trained a pair of sharp eyes. Zhongyu had long read the script of Autumn in My Heart, including the chapters of the novel of the same name that Lu Chen updated on his blog every day. But the script and the novel were 2 different things. It was common for a good script and story to be ruined by a bad director and actor. Although Hygiene Satellite TV had decided to import this TV series, Zhongyu still came with a cautious eye. He had to be responsible for his own work. And the result of the review really surprised Zhongyu. This TV series had the potential to be popular. The story of the first 3 episodes was quite attractive. The opening scene of changing the wrong baby brought suspense, and the emotional story of exchanging lives made people have a strong desire to continue watching. Most importantly, Lu Chen's performance at the end of the 3rd episode was amazing. That's right, it was amazing. Ever since Lu Chen released Autumn in My Heart, wrote the script and played the lead role, the voices of doubt in and out of the circle had never disappeared. As a young singer who had just debuted, how could he act? Everyone generally thought that Lu Chen's TV series should be a show to sell his face, just like many so-called youth idol dramas. The lead and supporting roles were all young and fresh meats, not relying on acting skills, but relying on showing off their faces and bodies to attract fans. The only reason he was better than others was because he had a relationship with Chen Fei. Now Zhongyu found that this statement was simply ridiculous. Lu Chen's acting skills were not inferior to those famous actors who had professional training, and he was even one of the biggest highlights of this TV series. In contrast, Chen Fei's acting skills were a little worse, and he only made up for it with his appearance. In addition, the director Fang Hui's grasp of Autumn in My Heart was undoubtedly on point. The scenes had a delicate and pure beauty unique to female directors, and it reflected the atmosphere of the story very well. It was not that there were no shortcomings, but to be able to do this was enough to make Zhongyu look at it in a new light. This also made him more determined to win the premiere rights. After watching the original film, everyone had lunch together at noon and went to a music production company in Jinling in the afternoon. According to the scheduled plan, Lu Chen and Chen Fei would collaborate to record the theme song of Autumn in My Heart. This theme song, together with the makeup photos and the advance trailer, would be used as promotional material for the TV series. This local music production company in Jinling has a high-standard recording studio. It was through the relationship of Flying Stone Records that they deliberately set aside half a day to record the song. The arrangement and accompaniment of the theme song were also completed by Lu Chen, who asked Lin Jijie to help him work overtime in Flying Stone Records. When Lu Chen and other large groups of people rushed over, the company's recording studio was already ready, waiting for the two to enter the studio to record. Although this studio was the largest and best equipped in Jinling, it had never received a big shot like Chen Fei. Chen Fei has been on the road for more than 10 years, and it was unknown how many recording studios she has been to. This kind of battle had no effect on her. Lu Chen has also been trained. The two entered the studio, put on the monitoring headphones, and began the first recording under the lens of the camera. The theme song of Autumn in My Heart was carefully selected by Lu Chen, taking into account the requirements of Chen Fei. This song will also be included in her new album. There are a lot of love songs sung by men and women in Lu Chen's memory, but it was not easy to find a work that matched this story. Although the final choice could not be said to be perfect, at least there was no problem in style and emotion. The name of this song was Your Eyes. Under the accompaniment of the music, Lu Chen first spoke. I love you and forget to wake up, I'd rather close my eyes. Even if I don't wake up in this lifetime, you are my next life. Love is a hopeless situation, happy people don't travel far, breaking the bitter pursuit of spring and autumn, I'd rather drift with you. Don't let your eyes see the sadness of the world again, throw ourselves into the wind and rain and depend on each other, kiss your heart with my pain. Looking into your eyes, there are too many tears that don't stop, love you every step of the hardships of love, painful dreams are especially sincere. Lu Chen and Chen Fei sang together, and then they cooperated with great tacit understanding. Lu Chen's voice was as clear and clean as crystal, without any dust or dirt. Chen Fei's singing was like the sound of nature, gentle and affectionate, with a touch of sadness and melancholy, as well as the determination and firmness of love without complaint or regret. Although it was the first recording, and although they had only practiced a few times before, it was as if they had sung to each other for thousands of times. The feelings accumulated in their hearts suddenly burst out and completely integrated into the song. Naturally, it had the power to move people's hearts. This song, Your Eyes, did not have the sweet duet of ordinary love songs, nor did it have the pretentious struggle of those bitter love songs. There was only a little bit of love, full of feelings. The mood expressed in the song had the same soul as the story, that is, you see me, I find you, there is only you and me left in the world, all the scenery is in your eyes, and that is enough. Don't let your eyes see the sadness of the world again, throw ourselves into the wind and rain and depend on each other, rely on each other, the most sincere feelings, nothing could be more than this. In the monitoring room outside the recording studio, everyone held their breath. Zhang De, Zhong Yu, Lu Shi, Fang Hui, Sister Li, Li Feiyu, and at least a dozen managers of the music production company, all listened to the song attentively, for fear of missing even a single note. In the recording studio, Lu Chen and Chen Fei stared at each other, both seeing the deep feelings hidden in each other's eyes. At this moment, the two of them were connected in their minds. There was no need for words, the song was enough to express everything. Perhaps their feelings were full of ups and downs like the story, but at least now it was happy, warm and sweet. Note, Your Eyes, lyricist, Su Changda / composer, Xiong Tianping. Chapter 252. Beijing television station. At 7:55 in the morning, Zhu Xiaotai arrived at the Variety Channel's program department punctually as usual. Director Zhu, good morning. There were already many colleagues in the office who had started working. They greeted Zhu Xiaotai when they saw him. Zhu Xiaotai nodded reservedly in response and strode into his independent workshop with his head held high. As the deputy director of the Beijing television station's Variety Channel, he had worked hard for 20 years to get his current position. Therefore, he knew how to cherish his position and never came late or left early. Even if he had nothing to do, he was happy to sit comfortably in his leather chair, drink fragrant tea, and leisurely read today's morning paper to understand the news that happened yesterday in China and abroad. The thermos beside the desk was filled with hot water, and the teacups on the desk had been washed clean. A stack of brand new newspapers that emitted the fragrance of ink was placed neatly. A beautiful day had begun. Zhu Xiaotai buried his burly body into the spacious and comfortable office chair and picked up a newspaper to read. There was not much work to be done today, so he could relax first. When Zhu Xiaotai finished reading the newspaper after drinking his tea, it was already 9 in the morning. He put down the teacup, stretched his arms, and turned on the computer. Currently, Beijing television station was promoting paperless work. Internal documents, announcements, work arrangements, etc., were all transmitted through computers and the internet, including the handling of work. After entering his personal password and entering the desktop, Zhu Xiaotai opened his work log. After approving 2 trivial applications, he suddenly thought of something. The deputy director of the program department frowned, picked up the phone on the desk, and dialed an internal number. The call quickly went through. Director Zhu, hello. The voice on the other side of the phone was very respectful. Zhu Xiaotai's eyebrows relaxed, and his left index finger gently tapped on the table. He said calmly, Little Zhang, come to my office now. Yes, director. After a while, there was a light knock on the door. Zhu Xiaotai said in a deep voice, please come in. A man in his 30s walked in and asked, Director Zhu, you were looking for me? Yes, Zhu Xiaotai pointed to the sofa beside him and said, sit down and pour yourself some tea. Mr. Zhang agreed, picked up the thermos and poured tea for Zhu Xiaotai, and then sat down. Zhu Xiaotai nodded with satisfaction and asked, Little Zhang, I called you over to ask you, how is the discussion with Chinda Pictures going? Is the other party still insisting on their conditions? Chinda Pictures? Mr. Zhang was stunned and asked, "Do you mean buying the TV series Autumn in My Heart?" Zhu Xiaotai was a little displeased. Am I right? The TV series, Autumn in My Heart, was jointly invested and filmed by Chinda Brothers Pictures, Chen Fei, Studio and Lu Chen Studio. Beijing TV station Variety Channel intends to introduce this urban romance drama, which is currently quite popular. When Lu Chen came to Beijing TV last time to participate in the Star Interview program, Zhu Xiaotai once had a face-to-face conversation with Lu Chen. Later, they had been negotiating about buying the premiere rights, but the object of the negotiation was changed to Chinda Pictures. Chinda Pictures was not a big company in the industry, and Autumn in My Heart was not a big IP production. Of course, Zhu Xiaotai could not personally come forward to bargain with the other party. The work was handed over to his subordinate, Little Zhang. Zhu Xiaotai still trusted Little Zhang's ability. It was just that today he seemed to be a little unclear about the situation, which made Director Zhu secretly annoyed. Little Zhang quickly explained, "Director Zhu, I sent the work report to you yesterday. Maybe there was something wrong with the computer. If you didn't receive it, I'll go back and send another one right away." Huh? Zhu Xiaotai was a little surprised and quickly clicked on the internal mailbox. Sure enough, he found the work email from Little Zhang. It was his own mistake and negligence. Director Zhu's old face turned red. He coughed and said, "Pay attention next time. Since you're here, tell me about the situation first." Little Zhang said, "Chinda Pictures has sold the premiere rights of Autumn in My Heart to Hygiene Satellite TV." Hygiene Satellite TV? Director Zhu suddenly felt a little toothache. How could it be Hygiene Satellite TV? He knew that there was more than one TV station that was interested in the new TV series, Autumn in My Heart. The most powerful competitor was undoubtedly Zhidong TV station. The latter's film and TV channel was interested in introducing it. The reason why Zhidong TV station was interested in Autumn in My Heart was easy to understand. In addition to Chen Fei, the heavenly queen of the singing industry, as the female lead, Lu Chen was from Zhidong, and last time in Hangzhou, he also saved Tian Tian, the host of Zhidong Satellite TV, and was very well known in the province. His first TV series that he wrote and acted in could at least guarantee a part of the ratings in the province. But according to Zhu Xiaotai's understanding, the price offered by Zhidong TV station was not much higher than his own, and Chinda was not satisfied. What the hell was Hygiene Satellite TV? Did they suddenly appear out of nowhere? Zhu Xiaotai was really a little confused. They actually won the exclusive premiere rights. He couldn't help but ask, what price can they offer? There was a hint of contempt in Director Zhu's words. Although Beijing and Hygiene were both municipalities, the former's status had been far higher than the latter since ancient times. Hygiene was equivalent to a subordinate city of Beijing, and Beijing people had a sense of superiority over Hygiene people since ancient times. Putting aside the giant central TV, Beijing television had always been condescending to Hygiene Satellite TV, and basically didn't have the latter in their eyes. So now when Zhu Xiaotai first heard that Autumn in My Heart was intercepted by Hygiene Satellite TV, he first didn't believe it. When did the guys from Hygiene Satellite TV become so bold? Although Zhu Xiaotai didn't have the heart to get Autumn in My Heart, and there were not many episodes that were sent to Beijing TV, he still felt unhappy in his heart. Xiao Zhang said with a wry smile, "Director Zhu, I don't know about that. How could Chinda Pictures reveal the price of the transaction to him? This was a trade secret." Confused, Zhu Xiaotai slapped his forehead and said, "I'll call and ask." The relationship between Hygiene TV station and Beijing TV station was a bit like the relationship between Beijing TV and Central TV. The communication between the two sides was quite close. Several of the directors of Hygiene TV station were from Beijing TV station. Zhu Xiaotai had acquaintances and old colleagues over there, so it was really convenient to inquire about things. He made this phone call for almost 10 minutes. After the call, his face was gloomy. Xiao Zhang moved his but uneasily when he saw this, feeling a little restless. When he first went to negotiate with Chinda Pictures as a representative of the Variety Channel, he more or less had some thoughts of disapproval and never thought of the possibility of failure. It was normal for the Variety Channel's offer not to be high, but Chinda Pictures' bargaining made Xiao Zhang feel very disdainful. This TV series was nothing more than using Chen Fei's brand. Otherwise, how could a production unit like Chinda Pictures enter the eyes of Beijing Television, let alone take the initiative to contact them? Now that they had given Chinda Pictures a chance to cooperate, they actually wanted to make a big profit. They simply didn't know what they were talking about. So in the process of the negotiation, Xiao Zhang deliberately dragged it on, waiting for the opponent to give in. Even though he knew that Zhidong TV station was also involved in the competition. He never expected that in the end, Hygiene TV station would snatch away the premier broadcast rights. He could completely understand his boss's unhappiness. Hygiene Satellite TV actually dared to come to Beijing's territory to snatch food. They were too daring. He didn't know what price they offered. Xiao Zhang asked cautiously, "Director Zhu, what did they say?" Zhu Xiaotai glanced at him and sighed. They offered a minimum purchase price of 6 million and put it on the satellite channel 1's primetime premiere. Moreover, based on the national average rating of 0.25%, plus 0.1% and a reward of 100,000 yuan. There's no cap. Xiao Zhang was stunned. They really dared to offer it. Zhu Xiaotai deeply agreed. The minimum price of 6 million was also something that Beijing television station could afford. It was a very normal price. But the satellite channel 1's premiere, coupled with the uncapped ratings reward, was really too much. It was simply shameless. Why would the dignified Hygiene Satellite TV be so hungry? That was a new TV series, and the production unit was not a good person. Zhu Xiaotai was really a little speechless. In fact, Hygiene Satellite TV did not really give up much in this contract. The VAM agreement was profitable, and the main thing was that they were willing to put down their pride. Beijing television station would never do such a dishonorable thing and break the rules. Zhu Xiaotai said resentfully, "The contract has already been signed. Forget it. They'll know after they've suffered a loss." Xiao Zhang nodded vigorously. That's right. They dare to think of a national average rating of 0.25%. I estimate that it would be very good for this show to have 0.1%. They'll be lucky if they can recover their costs. He was even indignant. Chinda Pictures was also a fool. They sold this TV series to Hygiene Satellite TV. They didn't think that if it could be broadcast on Beijing Television Variety Channel, it would be much easier to sell the rebroadcast rights. It was simply short-sighted. Like Alchuang Pictures' weekend drama, Urban Love, it could only be broadcast on the Urban Channel. The ratings of the Urban Channel could not be compared to the Variety Channel. As for Hygiene Satellite TV's ratings, they could only laugh. Did they have any good programs to show? Zhu Xiaotai waved his hand and said, "Well, it's not settled. You don't have to take this matter to heart. Go back and work hard." Xiao Zhang quickly got up and said, "Okay, Director Zhu, I'll go back first." After Xiao Zhang left, Zhu Xiaotai stuffed his body back into the chair. He felt that something was wrong. He thought for a moment, opened the browser on his computer, and logged into the Waves blog. Chapter 253. Waves blog. The novel version of Autumn in My Heart has been updated on Lu Chen's blog for 20 days in a row, with 3,000 words updated a day. Now it has reached 60,000 words, which is exactly the content of 4 episodes. There are many bloggers who update novels on Waves blog. Whether it is out of personal hobbies or to attract fans through blogs, blog novels have become a part of online literature. Domestic online literature began in 2000, and has now developed into a considerable industry. There are as many as dozens of large-scale literary websites. In particular, in recent years, the IP fever has created a large number of bubbles, further pushing up the popularity of online literature. The top online writers can earn tens of millions of yuan a year. But precisely because the value of IP is getting greater and greater, most literary websites are very tight on copyrights, and the contracts signed with authors often include all copyrights. Therefore, many authors who are unwilling to be restricted will move their platforms to more open and free blogs, forums, or QQ circles. Of course, without the support of a mature platform, it is also very difficult to make money by selling copyright. Lu Chen updated Autumn in My Heart on Wave's blog, mainly to promote and build momentum for the TV series that is being filmed, and secondly to pave the way for the publication of physical novels. Domestic physical novels are a real big market. Compared with the rampant piracy on the internet, the situation of the publishing market is better. There is no shortage of physical authors with an annual income of hundreds of millions. Autumn in My Heart was updated and published on Wave's blog, mainly attracting Lu Chen's fans, especially girls who like this kind of urban emotional theme. This group of fans is actually not many. So in the beginning, the number of clicks, forwards, and comments on Lu Chen's novel blog posts was not high, but gradually, the popularity became higher and higher. The main reason is that the novel has a strong story, especially for girls. The misplaced fate and entangled feelings between the protagonists deeply attracted them, and they read and comment on it every day. Many female fans have become free water armies. They spontaneously distributed the sorted-out chapters to major literary forums, and established the Autumn in My Heart novel bar. Without Lu Chen and Lu Chen Studios' deliberate attention, the number of members of the Autumn in My Heart novel bar has exceeded 50,000, and the number of posts has reached hundreds of thousands, which is no weaker than many popular online novels. In turn, the spread of the novel attracted a lot of fans, which pushed up the public's expectations for the TV version of Autumn in My Heart. On December 1st, Lu Chen, Chen Fei, Chinda Brothers Pictures and Hygiene Satellite TV simultaneously released news on their respective blogs, saying that Autumn in My Heart had officially signed with Hygiene TV station and would premiere on satellite TV at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, December 12th. This news, for many fans of Lu Chen and fans of the novel Autumn in My Heart, really meant that Autumn in My Heart had been called out thousands of times. As a result, Autumn in My Heart quickly appeared on the hot search list on the homepage of Inspire blog. On December 2nd, 2 big verified accounts and 2 official verified accounts released the trailer of Autumn in My Heart at the same time. In this 3-minute trailer, Your Eyes was officially played as the theme song. The TV series version of Autumn in My Heart was fully launched. The domestic film and television industry was unprecedentedly prosperous. A large amount of capital poured into the industry, and the competition was extremely fierce. A TV series, even if it was made by a big director, a big star, or a big IP, was unimaginable without publicity and hype. No party would do such a stupid thing. Good wine fears no dark alley. It was already a thing of the past. The days when a TV series could easily get hundreds of ratings had already become history. Now it was a new era of national marketing. Previously, Lu Chen updated the novel on his blog, as well as the news of Chen Fei joining the cast as the female lead in advance, were actually part of the TV series marketing. But these were just small skirmishes. If they wanted to compete for ratings, this level of publicity was far from enough. Therefore, the representatives of Lu Chen Studio, Chen Fei Studio, Chinda Brothers Pictures, and Hygiene TV sat down again and began to discuss the publicity matters. Although the publicity channels of the investors and broadcasters were different, it was very important to coordinate and unify, so that they could avoid misplacement or conflict of publicity, save money, and maximize the publicity effect. The exchange was still held in the hotel of Jinling Film and Television City. Lu Chen and Chen Fei, who were busy filming, took time out to attend. The focus of everyone's discussion, in addition to the publicity funds and scale of investment, was mainly on the publicity strategy. The publicity strategy was really very important. A good publicity plan could make an investment of 1 yuan produce 10 or even 100 yuan of publicity effect, and vice versa. Especially in today's internet era, the the public had long been accustomed to all kinds of indiscriminate bombardment by the media, and they were not surprised by the endless means of publicity. It was getting harder and harder to make a job for an online promoter. Therefore, everyone needed to brainstorm and come up with new ideas. After all, the early publicity time was very short. Sister Zhang suggested, "Why don't we just hype up the scandal between Lu Chen and Feier?" Sister Zhang's real name was Zhang Jie. She was Chen Feier's assistant, and had been by Chen Feier's side for more than 10 years. She was not Chen Feier's first assistant, but she was undoubtedly the most trusted person by his side. This middle-aged woman in her 40s had a plain appearance, and she spoke softly. She did not usually speak much, but her support and help for Chen Feier was unmatched by others, so Chen Feier attached great importance to her opinion. Sister Zhang also attended the meeting, and as soon as she opened her mouth, she dropped a bomb. Everyone's eyes instantly focused on Lu Chen and Chen Feier. Most of them agreed and looked forward to it. Whether it was the film and television industry or the entertainment industry, using scandals to hype up movies, TV series, or albums was a completely normal method, and it often worked every time, always attracting attention. Some celebrities even never got tired of it. Every time a new TV series was about to be released, they would create a scandal. Although the majority of netizens were already tired of watching, every time they saw this kind of gossip, they would always click on it out of habit, take a look, and then spit and ridicule. They did not care about being scolded, because the publicity effect was achieved, and the cost was very low. Many entertainment media were very willing to hype up scandals, even if it was free. The most important thing was that both Lu Chen and Chen Feier had the foundation to hype up. One was a talent, and the other was a heavenly queen, and they already had scandals in the past. Now that they were working together in a TV series, it was normal to create a new scandal. And it was the most economical. There was no need to give red packets to the reporters. As long as the news leaked out, there would definitely be a large number of paparazzi coming. If they were willing to spend some advertising fees, it would be a sure thing to make the headlines. In fact, there were a lot of paparazzi at the filming site of Autumn in My Heart. But the premise was that Chen Feier was willing. Among the people present, Chen Feier had the highest status. She had the natural right to speak, so everyone had to listen carefully, and no one could ignore her opinion. As someone close to Chen Feier, the reason why Sister Zhang made such a suggestion was that she knew very well that Chen Feier would not be disgusted by it. The target of the scandal was Lu Chen. In fact, her suggestion was also a leak, and smart people would naturally understand the meaning behind it. Most of the people present were smart people. Chen Feier hesitated for a moment and turned to look at Lu Chen. Just as Sister Zhang thought, Chen Feier was not disgusted by the scandal, and she wanted to listen to Lu Chen's opinion. Under everyone's gaze, Lu Chen shook his head and said, "Don't hype up the scandal." Of course, Lu Chen understood the benefits of hyping up the scandal, but he did not like this kind of hype very much. Chen Feier's eyes flashed with a smile, and she asked, "Then do you have any good ideas?" She understood Lu Chen's thoughts. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "Let's do a promotional activity on the blog." That's it? Everyone looked at each other, and they were very disappointed. Using the blog to promote was the most common practice. There were countless activities on the blog, especially the lucky draw. Doing a lucky draw should be attractive, but the effect was very ordinary. Most of the netizens were going for the prize. Lu Chen continued, "My idea is to do a couple cover show. The song to be covered is the theme song of Autumn in My Heart, Your Eyes. As long as you upload a cover video through your personal blog, you can participate. The prize can be a high bonus, a romantic European double trip, or even a cameo role in Autumn in My Heart." Couple cover show? Chen Feier's eyes suddenly lit up. This idea was really fresh. The bonus prize was secondary. The key was to closely follow the theme of the TV series, which had selling points and connotations. Such an event was neither vulgar nor vulgar, warm and romantic, and would definitely attract a lot of people to participate. Then the publicity effect would be there. And the cost was not high. Even a romantic European double trip would only cost tens of thousands of yuan. Lu Chen continued, as for the judges, Sister Feier and I will be the judges. We can also invite Flying Stone Records to participate, which is also a publicity warm-up for Sister Feier's new record. Chen Feier pursed her lips and said with a smile, I can ask Big Brother Lin to help and let him be a judge. Sister Zhang said with a smile, then it will soon become half of Singing China. The Big Brother Lin in Chen Feier's mouth was, of course, Lin Jijie, the music director of Flying Stone Records. She and Lin Jijie were both judges of Singing China, and Lu Chen was the winner of the singing competition. It was really not wrong to say that it was half of Singing China competition. Lu Chen proposed, and Chen Feier supported it, and the idea was really good, so it was immediately decided. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.